I got the cash in the bag, stadium packed. Born a rock star in this life, gon' live it up on the attack. Baby, I'm bad, I just wanna get caught up in this life. I'm crazy, I'm mad, doing no cap. Only God wants you, better go live it up. Cash in the bag, stadium packed. Baby, I'm bad, yeah. Baby, I'm bad.
I just wanna stay bad, stay mad. Chip on my shoulder cause they treat me like an outcast. I ain't gonna take that, stay back. I'll be swinging hard till the hits come in all caps. I ain't gonna lay back, pray that someone's gonna help me. Ain't nobody like that. I ain't gonna wait, that's all fact. Give me one shot and I'll never get the throne back. I'm sick of being cautious, I'ma go cause some pain, can't stop this. I'ma steal everybody's lane, call it shoplift. Sick of hearing everyone complain when they thoughtless. Taste the pain, it's like candy canes. It makes me go change into a better frame, into a better name. Society's insane, we all live for fame, yeah. Cash in the bag, stadium packed. Born a rock star in this life, gon' live it up on the attack. Baby, I'm bad, I just wanna get caught up in this life. I'm crazy, I'm mad, do it no cap. Only God wants you, better go live it up. Cash in the bag, stadium packed. Baby, I'm bad, baby, I'm bad. I got the cash in the bag, stadium packed. Born a rock star in this life, gon' live it up. Baby, I'm bad, I just wanna get caught up in this life. I'm crazy, I'm mad, do it no cap. Only God wants you, better go live it up. Cash in the bag, stadium packed. Baby, I'm bad, baby, I'm bad. Cash in the bag, stadium packed. Born a rock star in this life, gon' live it up on the attack. Baby, I'm bad, I just wanna get caught up in this life. I'm crazy, I'm mad, do it no cap. Only God wants you, better go live it up. Cash in the bag, stadium packed. Baby, I'm bad, baby, I'm bad.
I won't obey. You cannot tell me what I cannot say. I'm here to last, so yeah, I'm here to stay. I'll live each second like my final day. You can't take that away, yeah.
Cash in the bag, stadium packed. Born a rock star in this life, gon' live it up on the attack. Baby, I'm bad, I just wanna get caught up in this life. I'm crazy, I'm mad, do it no cap. Only God wants you, better go live it up. Cash in the bag, stadium packed. Baby, I'm bad, baby, I'm bad. I got the cash in the bag, stadium packed. Born a rock star in this life, gon' live it up on the attack. Baby, I'm bad, I just wanna get caught up in this life. I'm crazy, I'm mad, do it no cap. Only God wants you, better go live it up. Cash in the bag, stadium packed. Baby, I'm bad, baby, I'm bad.
Cash in the bag, stadium packed. Born a rock star in this life, gon' live it up on the attack. Baby, I'm bad, I just wanna get caught up in this life. I'm crazy, I'm mad, do it no cap. Only God wants you, better go live it up. Cash in the bag, stadium packed. Baby, I'm bad, baby, I'm bad.
I don't really know what comes next. I'm just doing my best, even though I'm so stressed out. Everything just feels like a test that I fail, so depressed when I can't seem to get out.
But something deep inside won't let me quit. I swear that I'm inspired by all this shit. Tell me that I can and I won't. That's what guides me the most. Fuck your lies, I'll do what I want.
Gas in the bag, focus left, never left. She's so bad that the can't hit the bag. The gas in the bag, focus left, never left. She's so bad that the can't hit the bag. The gas in the bag, focus left, never left. She's so bad that the can't hit the bag. The gas in the bag, focus left, never left. She's so bad that the can't hit the bag.
I'm inspired by thirst, I'm inspired by worth. I desire your worst, so you can just hide while I work. I ain't tired, you first. I'll write a second, third verse about the lies you go disperse. You never did shit, I know it hurts.
Something deep inside won't let me quit. I swear that I'm inspired by all this shit. Tell me that I can and I won't. That's what guides me the most. Fuck your lies, I'll do what I want.
The gas in the bag, focus left, never left. She's so bad that the can't hit the bag. The gas in the bag, focus left, never left. She's so bad that the can't hit the bag.
Whole sports all plays. Whole sports all plays. College sports all plays. 365, we making the plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. On sport, all plays, they working your faces. Grace at the field, so type the laces. College sports all plays.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the College Breakdown, your one-stop podcast for all college football. I am your host, Ray Cruz, and today I have an action-packed 3-hour show for you guys. We'll be diving deep into the 2023 season previews for some of the most exciting conferences in the NCAA. Get ready for the thrilling ride as we break down the Big 12, the Big 10, Conference USA, and FBS Independents. Let's kick it off with the Big 12 College Football 2023 season preview. We start with the Big 12, a conference known for its high-scoring games and fierce rivalries. Today, I'll be breaking down the following teams: Baylor Bears, BYU Cougars, Cincinnati Bearcats, Houston Cougars, Iowa State Cyclones, the Kansas Jayhawks, Oklahoma Sooners, Oklahoma State Cowboys, TCU Horned Frogs, Texas Longhorn, Texas Tech's Red Raiders. Let's get started with the Baylor Bears. Prime for a Big 12 title run. Is Baylor ready for the big title run in the Big 12? We're going to break it down for you right now. The Baylor Bears entered the 2023 season aiming to bounce back after a disappointing 6-7 campaign last year. Head coach David Arquette will look to lead the Bears back to the Big 12 championship game after winning the conference title in 2021. Here's a look at what to expect from the Baylor Bears this fall. Offensively, more firepower coming. The Bears' offense sputtered at times last season, but could take a step forward this year. The offensive line gets a significant boost with the addition of Campbell and Clark Bragman transfers. Their presence should be opened up more running lanes for talented backs Richard Reese, Dominique Richardson at quarterback, incumbent starter Blake Sharpton, and pushed by Mississippi State transfer Sawyer Robertson. The receiving corps is well stocked with veterans Montgomery Baldwin, Hall Presley, Johnson Cameron. This unit could be one of the most exciting, explosive Big 12 this year. Defensively, improved pass rush is going to be the key for the Baylor Bears because they didn't get enough pass rush last year. Baylor finished third in the total defensive in Big 12 last season, but needed a consistent pass rush. They did not have a consistent pass rush. Boosting sacks production is a top priority for a new coordinator, Matt Paulidge. The linebacker crew is strong with Liberty transfer Mike Smith and returning tackler Matt Jones. The secondary is young but athletic and should improve. The defense should carry this team if Baylor can generate more pass rush and turnovers. Schedule is a little bit favorable early this late. The Bears' schedule gets up well early on. The non-conference features winnable games against Albany, Texas State, and UTSA. Baylor then gets Iowa State, Oklahoma State, Kansas at home to kick off the Big 12 play. The back half of the road trips to Oklahoma and Texas, but winnable home games against Kansas State, TCU, match up with the Sooners, the Longhorns, and will likely decide if Baylor can return to Arlington. What's the outlook looking like for the Baylor Bears? Baylor has the piece for a bounce back year and a Big 12 title run. But team can play with anyone if the offensive line gels quickly and the defensive line is disruptive form. The Bears appear primed to reciprocate from 2019 to 2021 season rather than the 2020 season, 2022 season. Don't be surprised if Baylor is back in the conference title hunt and in contention for a new Year's Six Bowl. Let's move right along here to BYU. Got a lot of stuff to cover. BYU Cougars ready for Big 12 debut. Yes, you heard it right. The Big 12 debut for the BYU Cougars. The Cougars enter a new era in 2023 season. The Big 12 conference, after years as an independent with a step up in competition, can BYU make noise in the first year in a Power 5 league? New quarterback, same explosive offense. Gone is quarterback Jaron Hall, now with the NFL Vikings. USC transfer Keenan Slavis is stepping in, who threw for nearly 10,000 yards his season with the Trojan. Career Slavis will have elite targets like wide receiver Canu Hill and tight end Isaac Rex. The running game as UNLV's transfer Alden Roberts to the lead. They attack. The offensive line reloads with the transfers like Oklahoma State, Caleb Ian, ETN. Expect more fireworks from this unit. Defense needs more disruption. BYU's defense struggled last season to get stopped and turnovers. Now, a new coordinator, Jay Hill, looks to change that. Linebacker A.G. Valpicani from Utah State provides a playmaking presence. Isaiah Bagnad boosts the pass rush after transfer from Boise State. The secondary has experience with safeties, Mitch Harper and McLeod Moore. This defense must make more big plays for BYU to compete in the Big 12. The first Big 12 schedule won't be easy for BYU. The Cougars dive right into the Big 12 play with early games against Houston, Utah State, and University of Central Florida. Back-to-back November road trips to Boise State, Stanford, and will be challenged at home matchups with Cincinnati, Baylor, Texas Tech will show where BYU stacks up. Even with the veteran handling, this schedule will be a challenge. Let's go ahead and look at the outlook for BYU. BYU has an offensive firepower and a coaching continuity with Clay Stecky to make noise in the debut of Big 12 season, but the defense remains a question mark against the high-flying offense in the conference. Still, a bowl bid is expected, and BYU has the talents to compete for the Big 12 title in the years to come. But the Cougars are ready for this long-awaited move. Joining the BYU Cougars for their first season, the Bearcats are ready to roar in the Big 12. The Cincinnati Bearcats is the next team we're going to be talking about. Cincinnati Bearcats enter the first season in the Big 12 conference with expectations, coming off a 9-4 season and a berth to the Cotton Bowl. Can the new head coach, Scott Satterfield, who came over from Louisville, keep the success against more formidable competition? We have new look offense with plenty of weapons. Gone as veteran quarterback Desmond Ritter. Competing to replace him are Florida transfer Emory Jones and backup Evan Prater. Whoever wins out will have the speedy playmakers like wide receiver Donovan Ollie and D. Wiggins and running back Corey Canner and Charles McClellan form a powerful backfield duo. But the offensive line rebuilds behind center Kevin Gerhardt and Kentucky transfer Dante Buford. Expect an even more explosive attack in 2023. Osmo's defense reloads. Defensive coordinator Brian Brown rise from Louisville. After leading the ACC in sacks last season, the defensive line is stacked with Utah State transfer Daniel Krasinski and veteran Michael Vann, linebacker Desmond Pace, and Dorian Pace is an elite linebacker tandem. Their secondary is led by safety Brian Threats and DJ Taylor. The veterans unit will continue to make a big play. We got stepping up in the competition here. The schedule is tough with Houston visiting plus games against Ohio State and UCF. Home matchups with Memphis, Tulane, and SMU are tricky. But Cincinnati gets most of the Big 12 top teams, Baylor, Oklahoma State, Kansas State at home. The Bearcats can hold their own right away in their new league. Let's look at the outlook for Scott Satterfield. Inherits a loaded roster primed to make national noise against if the offensive gels. Quickly, if the defense stays Typically disruptive, Cincinnati should push for a double-digit win. The Bearcats are ready to show they belong to college football biggest brand. Now they are in a Power 5 conference. Now let's look at Houston. Houston also go to Cougars set for their Big 12 debut. So we have back-to-back debuts here for Houston, Cincinnati, and BYU. The Houston Cougars entered the Big 12's 23-23 season looking to make an intermediate splash. Dana Holgerson squares game up shot of expectation last year, but needed more talent to compete immediately in their new conference. We have new quarterback league, explosive offense. Gone is record-setting quarterback Clayton Tune. Former Texas Tech transfer Donovan Smith takes over after showing promising when called up. Top target Matthew Golden, Keon Carter, and also gone, but Wyoming transfer Joshua Cobbs leads a speedy new receiver group. The ground game is going to be a deep returner with Stacy Sneed and Brendan Campbell. This unit remains dangerous. So they got a good running back and continuity there, and Sneed and Campbell. So they will be one's going to be running the show on the offense for the Houston Cougars. But the defense looks to return form. Houston defense looks to a step back last season, but the pass rush could bounce back behind linebacker David Ugame, the Oklahoma transfer, and veteran Nelson Caesar, linebacker Jamel Norris, Malik Robinson, and leads an athletic group. The secondary could be more proven, but loaded with young talent and proven on third down. It's going to be a must for Houston. The Big 12 schedule brings a new challenge. The Cougars jump right into the Big 12 play by hosting cross-town rival Rice in Week 2, challenging road trips to Oregon, SMU, follow along with the visiting Memphis and UCF. Home games against Cincinnati, Baylor, and Temple will gouge Houston's progress. Navigating this slate will be a battle. Let's look at the outlook for Dana Holgerson. Rebuild a roster has enough firepower to win a shootout if the defense progresses. Houston may take some lumps early while claiming to the Big 12, but several statement wins could be in store, and the Cougars should be pushing for a bowl. But the potential contends soon in their new league. So Houston's got some battles here to come up with. So does BYU. So does Cincinnati. So we're going to see how they look here. That's the new arena line of the Big 12 starting off the season. Let's go ahead and let's move right along to Iowa State, one of the established Big 12 members here. Iowa State bounced back from the Big 12. That's going to be a key here this year after a disappointing 4-8 season. Iowa State Cyclone looks to bounce back in 2023. Matt Campbell program expects more after winning 23 games over the previous 2 years. Can the Cyclones return Big 12 contentions? Offense is going to seem more explosive. Iowa State offense sputtered last year, especially on the ground. Running back Gerald Brock and Carius Norton must find room behind a veteran O-line. Quarterback Hunter Durkins connects on the short throws but needs more deep balls. Eastern Kentucky transfer wide receiver Jaden Higgins adds speed on the outside. Better bounce is crucial for the offense. They got to have better bounce than they had last year. The balance was not very attentive, was not very good. But defense should gain, but be stingy. Defensive coordinator John Hitchcock group allows the fewest yards in the Big 12. Big 12 CB TJ Tampa. That's a good name, TJ Tampa, man. He led the loaded secondary. Linebacker Will McClellan and Zach Lovett steps up right after the losing top tackler. The D-line rebuilds the pass rush, but stuff the run. Expects another strong showing from the unit, but the schedule will be managing trickly. The schedule is trickly for them. The Cyclones can't catch a break, missing Baylor and Oklahoma State from the Big 12 South, but they claim they draw Cincinnati, BYU, and UCF in a crossover game. Iowa, Texas, and Kansas State visits Ames. The road trip to Oklahoma and Texas Tech are tricky. Iowa State must capitalize at home. The outlook. Last year's struggles appear more likely a blimp than a long-term deuce declines. With the offense tweaks and another lockdown defense, Iowa State should push for 8 wins, key upsets at home, and could make a Big 12 dark horse. The Cyclones expect to be bowling again this winter. How about the magical run of our next team, Kansas Jayhawks, building off a historic season? The Kansas Jayhawks entered the 2023 season with a growing expectation after last year's breakthrough football campaign. Can head coach Lance Leberner's program take the next step and contend in the loaded Big 12? Dynamic offense led by dual threat quarterback Jalen Daniels emerged as an electric playmaker for the Jayhawk offense, using his arms and legs to make big plays. Yes, he did. His top targets, like wide receiver Quint Skinner and Lawrence Arnold, are back. Running back Devian Nails leads a deep backfield. The veteran offensive line is solid. The unit can hang with anyone. Let's look at the defense. The defense looking to plug holes. They had a little bit of holes here and there during the season, but Kansas ranked last season in the Big 12 in the total defense last season. The lines, JUCO transferred to fill gaps immediately. Linebacker Rich Miller, Craig Young, and productive secondary with cornerback Kobe Brown and safety Kenny Logan is a strength. Implement provides improvement in necessary. Oops, sorry there. And another brutal schedule. A manageable non-conference slate features Duke, Houston, and Indiana State. But Big 12 play is rough. Again, the road trips to Oklahoma State, Baylor, Texas Tech, and home games versus TCU. Oklahoma and Kansas State are critical for upset wins. Will, again, be hard to come by. Let's look at the Kansas Jayhawks outlook. Last year's bowl breakthrough raised bar for the Kansas. With the offensive firepower, Lance Lebanon team should pull off a few surprises, but a winning season may still be another year away until defense catches up. Expect a step forward, but no major leap. So if you're looking at Kansas last year, it was a magical season. They started off strong. They kind of felt it towards the end, a little bit in the middle here. Got them in some little bit of trouble there. So Kansas got to look. You're looking at a full not only at basketball school, trying to turn in their progress into football. You got to give credit to head coach Lebanon, who pushed all the right buttons. When Daniels got hurt a little bit, that took a little bit of the mojo away. That probably caused a little bit of the downfall, but the defense has to be picked up a little bit on that side. So you got to look at Kansas on run last year and how they going to things. So let's take a look here at Kansas State. Let's go to Little Manhattan. That's what they call Kansas State. That's where they play at in Manhattan, Kansas, the Little Manhattan. Let's look at the Kansas Wildcat. Can the defending Big 12 champions, yes, you heard it right, defending Big 12 champions from last year, the Kansas State Wildcats entered the 2023 season to defend their Big 12 title. Chris Kilman program is positioned to remain a conference power even with the realignment on the horizon. Can the Wildcats stay atop of the league? Ground game reloads behind offensive line. Will quarterback Aaron Martinez gone? Will Howard takes over full-time? All-purpose running back Deuce Vaughn depart, but Tyshawn Ward, transfer from Florida State, steps in behind a massive line by Cooper B. Wide receiver Phillip Brooks is a playmaker outside of the offense. The offense lacks star power, but pound away. Defense rebuilds playmaking. Kansas State's defense thrives on turnovers, but must replace defensive back Drake Cheatham and Julius Brent. Linebacker Daniel Green anchors another front seven. Boosting the pass rush is vital, but the unit should take a step back but remain stout. Big 12 slate has no breaks for Kansas State. Crossover game against Iowa State and Oklahoma will be challenging. Kansas State draws Baylor, Oklahoma State from the South. Major road trips to Oklahoma and Texas loom large. Holding service at home is crucial. The schedule is brutal as always. Let's look at the outlook here for the Wildcats for the 2023 season. The Wildcat must need more firepower to repeat as league champions, but their physical style and play and season coaching makes them a tough out. Expect a slight decline, but another bowl trip. Kansas State remains a Big 12 contender. So let's go to Stillwater here. Let's go to Norman, Oklahoma. Oklahoma Sooners bouncing back before the SEC move. Let's talk about it a little bit here. Next year, they make the move. This is the last season in the Big 12. How does Brent Venables take over? Last year, kind of seen the momentum for Oklahoma to go down a little bit. So you got to look at the situation here for Brent Venables here on the situation that he's got to go. Oklahoma had a little bit of a subpar, not a very great season under Oklahoma standards. Not competing going into the Big 12, not competing for a national championship, where they used to be up in that type echelon there. So you got to look at the situation here. Brent Venables' first year, not typical Oklahoma, but you see some of the progression that he had on the defensive side, built him up a little bit. Now they got to get the offensive going here to match up with the defense. The defense projected a little bit with the Oklahoma Sooners. So you got to look at the situation. You got to look at the issues that they had on the offensive side. They have to make the adjustment on the offense. So let's continue right here. Let's see if they bounce back before the SEC move. And that's going to be a baton in here that's going to help them recruiting-wise when they move into the SEC. But it's going to – every Big 12 team that they play this year are going to look to try to beat them because they know this is the last hurrah they could play against Oklahoma Sooners. So let's see if they can bounce back before the SEC move. After their first losing season in 1998, the Oklahoma Sooners look to rebound in 2023 before heading to the SEC. Can new head coach Brent Venables get OU back on track in his final Big 12 season? More balance expected on the offense. The Sooners led the Big 12 in total offense last season, but it needs to finish better. Quarterback Dylan Gabriel is solid. Running back Javon Barnes and Gavin Solgowitz provide a strong running game. Boosting pass protection is crucial. The talent is there for a top unit. Venables seeks defensive improvement. New defensive coordinator Ted Roof must fix the defense that ranked last in the Big 12 in points and yards allowed. Linebacker Danny Stutzman is a star, but the pass rush and coverage needs work. Transfers must contribute immediately. Motivated for the Big 12 farewell tour, the schedule sets up favorably with University of Texas El Paso, Tennessee Tech, Kent State out of the conference. OU gets Baylor, Oklahoma State, Texas Tech at home in the league play. Texas and Kansas State on the road are pivotal. The path to the Big 12 title bids is there. Let's look at the outlook for the Sooners this year. Can we expect the Sooners to be better than last year? Oklahoma expects more than last year's 6 wins with offensive playmakers and Coach Venables' defensive chops. A significant turnaround should happen. The Sooners are determined to go out of Big 12 championship before leaving for the SEC. So that's a little bit of an outlook there. You want to look at there. They want to win the Big 12 one more time on their farewell tour. But is Venable the right place at the right coach at the time right now? Last year to get him a little break there on the defensive side, he has to be better on the defensive side. He's a defensive coordinator, so he has to be better. He has to be better on this play. So if you're looking at some situation here that you got to look at, can we see a turnaround for Oklahoma, or are we going to see another losing season for Oklahoma this year? And I don't think they're going to take a very kind going in, no momentum going into the SEC. You want to leave here the Big 12 as a Big 12 championship, carry that momentum into the SEC the following year. So that's going to be the question there in Norman, Oklahoma. Do they get back to regular Oklahoma football under where Bob Stoops had them, or we're going to see a little bit of a falter under Venables? So we're going to see how they went from an offensive guru in Lincoln Riley down to a defensive guru in Venable. You thought the defense would be better than it was last year, but he gets it now. He gets his full recruiting class this year under him, and he trying to turn around his defensive side. So that's going to be a good barometer there that you're going to look at for Brent Venables. Now let's go to Stillwater. Let's go down Oklahoma's rivalry and Oklahoma State Cowboys and Stillwater, Oklahoma wants to bounce back after a late season slide in 2022. Mike Gundy's program expects to remain a Big 12 contender even with the conference realignment ahead. Can Pokes reload? New quarterback, high-power offense. Gone is 4-year starter Spencer Sanders, Texas Tech transfer Alan Bowman, backup Garner Rangel are battling to replace him. The wide receiver core is loaded with Brendan Presley leading the way. Fixing the ground game is vital. The unit has firepower. Aggressive defense in transition. New defensive coordinator Brian Nardo arrives from power defense for Division II power. Canton defense lacks proven pass rushers, but has a star in safety Kendall Daniels and cornerback Corey Black. Instrumental improvement could go a long way, but the Big 12 slate has landmines for OSU. Skips Baylor, but draws a road trip to Kansas State, Oklahoma, and Texas. Home games versus TCU, Texas Tech are crucial. Going undefeated in Stillwater is a must. The schedule is challenging as always. The outlook. The Pokes have the talent and coaching to win the wide open Big 12. Double-digit wins and a conference title shots are a possibility for the new look offensive gels and the defensive step up for Oklahoma State. Expected to remain a league power. A league power. So, can Oklahoma State jump up there and be a league power of themselves? That's going to be the question. That's got to be the question mark that everybody wants to see here for Oklahoma State. Can they be the power of the Big 12? Will they be a liking of the Big 12? Will they be their situation here at the Big 12? So you got a little bit of a situation that you're going to look at in Stillwater. They still got some questions on the defensive side. They got to get their offense. They got a question at quarterback. They don't know which quarterback is going to win the competition right now going in. And that's you kind of hoping they would have settled that in spring training. But there's a little bit of situation there, the spring training. And so I like to, go ahead and say I'm sorry about the camera stuff situation here. I'm still working on getting this 4K camera I got going on to the 1088. So if you see some stuff distorting, that's the camera. I've been trying to work on it here. I just want to touch bases there. Let's continue right along here. The next team, the TCU Horned Frogs, a life after magical playoff run. Can they repeat themselves in 2023 season? Let's go ahead. Let's talk about the TCU Horned Frogs entered the 2023 coming off their historic run to the national title game. While repeat playoff trip is unlikely, Sonny Dyke squad should remain festy. But next, after the magical season, new quarterback leads revamp offense. Mac Duggan is off to the NFL, leaving the quarterback job to former four-star Chandler Morris. The receiving core reloads with the transfer like Alabama JoJo Earl, running back Trey Sanders takes over the backfield, less big plays, but more consistency could be coming. Let's look at the defensive focus on the instrumental growth. The defense got exposed late last season, but has pieces to take a step forward. Linebacker Johnny Hodge is a star, but the D-line pass rush needs to work. The secondary retools around cornerback Josh Newton progresses is more likely than dominance. Let's look at the Murder Row schedule for TCU. Draws a brutal slate with non-conference games against Colorado and SMU. matchup at Baylor, Texas, and Texas State are pivotal. Home stands versus Oklahoma State, Kansas, and Texas Tech must win. Rerunning the table seems unlikely. What is the outlook for TCU? Matching last year's playoff magic won't happen, but TCU should push for double-digit wins again with offensive firepower improvement on the defense. The Horned Frogs expects to remain festy. Big 12 contenders. Now, let's talk about TCU a little bit here. TCU's magical run last year. What a run by Sonny Dykes coming over, taking TCU to a place that they wanted to be under Gary Patterson. So if you look at the situation there, the good run, but they lose the big quarterback in Duggan. They have to replace him in Chandler Morris, who really is a capable quarterback, but he's not a Duggan type quarterback. But they lost some big playmakers. Got to revamp that offense. I think we're going to see more of a pound run game a little bit here this year with TCU, so the high big play games from last year. So if you look at the situation, you look at the top tier of that TCU the defense has got to get better because they did like a little bit, and they got exposed at Georgia. They play in the big Power 5 team in Georgia. Georgia exposed them a little bit. When Georgia got balanced there with Stetson Bennett and the power, they took over the game a little bit before halftime, and that took the downfall of TCU, and this magical run ended for TCU. So if TCU needs to get better on the defensive side, they can't find that niche on the defensive side. That's going to be a little bit of a downfall for them. So let's go ahead. Let's move to Austin, Texas. Yes, I'm going to Texas. All right, the Longhorn. It's a big send-off. This is going to be the stand down at the OK Corral for Texas this year. Also leaving with the Oklahoma Sooners. Texas also going to the SEC next year. Texas Longhorn in a pivotal 2023 season before bolting to the SEC. Is the year UT finally breaks through under Steve Sarkisian? That's the question. Put it in the comments if you think University of Texas Longhorns will break under Steve Sarkisian. The talent is in place for a big run. Load offense sinks more consistency. Bahaja Robertson is a huge loss for running back, but Rashoon Johnson, Keelan Robertson slides in behind a veteran offensive line. Quarterback Keenan Ewers has an elite target like Xavier Worthy. Wyoming transfer Isaiah New York, and avoiding losses is crucial. Playmaking defense on the rise. Defensive coordinator Pete Katsuki group allows second fewest yards in Big 12 last season. Linebacker Jalen Ford, safety Anthony Cook are stars. A fierce pass rush could emerge. This unit matches the offense. Motivate to make a statement this year. Texas skips Baylor but draws Kansas State, TCU, Oklahoma on the road. Home games versus Oklahoma State, Kansas, Texas Tech are must win. The Horns expects a challenge for the Big 12 crown, but the outlook with the blue chippers everywhere, this Texas roster must be one of its most talented ever. A special season could happen before the SEC move if the Longhorns play more consistently. The time is now for Texas to break through. Let's talk about the Longhorns a little bit here. Texas Longhorns under Robertson last year, phenomenal game, phenomenal team. But it was Roberts. B.J. Robertson was the most mangled point for them. They brought them out. They brought the situation out. He brought the team. He high octane. Now the defensive side has got to step up a little bit here. Can Steve Sarkisian be that coach at Texas to bring them back to the promised land that were under what Mac Brown did in the national championship era of Texas? Can we see this team bring out the most magnificent thing? They got a talented team. They're talented. They got a talented backup quarterback. They got a talented starting quarterback. Ewers got hurt last year. They kind of laid off a little bit. Robinson they stacked the boxes. Robinson started getting a little tired towards the end of the season. But can Texas now talent to take over? And this could be a special year for Texas if Texas can bring out the dominance on that defensive side to match what their offense is doing. The offense is outscoring defense. When they're wins, they're outscoring teams. Not the defense not making stops, they're just outscoring them on the talented offense. Now the defense has got to match that intensity and now put some stops in there. And can they do this year? And I think Texas could be right up there with the Big 12 championship. And what a momentum that will be for Texas if they could walk out. If they can walk out of the Big 12 as Big 12 championship and carry that momentum right on into the SEC. And you know, Texas does recruit well. They got the money. They got the fortitude to be in the SEC. But now SEC is coming with Alabama and all them. Can they handle that? Can they handle that recruiting class? But now the SEC, behind their moniker of the Longhorns and their Longhorn Network, they have the ability of their boosters in the NLL to get talent in there. And we could see Texas be right up there with Georgia, Alabama next year. But Texas right now is special. Can they concentrate, not looking ahead of joining the SEC, just like Oklahoma? Can they battle here right into this Big 12 championship and walk out as Big 12 champion and carry it over to the SEC next year? But the Texas Tech Red Raiders could be the dark horse, a wide open Big 12 this season. After a solid first season under Joey McGuire, the Texas Tech Red Raiders could emerge as Big 12 contenders in 2023 with the veteran talented back. Can Tech finally break through? Pass happy offense seeks more balance. Quarterback Tyler Shout is talented when healthy, but turnover prone. Top targets like wide receiver Jannard Bradley returns, improving the ground game behind running back Tajay Brooks is a key. The offensive line must protect better. More efficiency is needed. Playmaking defense anchored by secondary. The defense thrives on turnovers last season. The secondary return standout safety Darian Taylor Dimension. Replacing Ed rusher Ty Wilson is a tough, more disruptive up front would help. Texas Tech breakthrough is Big 12 crossover game. The schedule is backloaded with 5 straight ranked foes to end the year, but Tech gets Kansas State, Baylor, Oklahoma State at home. Pivotal road trips to TCU, Iowa State looms large. Let's take a look at McGuire, Texas Tech. Tech shows promising under McGuire's debut, returns firepower with improvement on both lines. The Red Raiders could push for a 9-win and surprise the Big 12 bid, potentially if there's for a special season. Can the Red Raiders get back to that Red Raiders offense? Can they air it out? Can the defense stop anybody? Red Raiders have been on the radars for a while at times. They had show times last year that they could play with anybody. Now can they put it all together this year and try to come up with that 9-win and maybe a Big 12 title bid. We don't know how this season's going to play out. We don't know how everything's going to work. Can McGuire gel this team a little bit more? Can he be more cohesive? It's going to probably take another 2 or 3 recruiting class for McGuire to get where he needs to be in this program and get this program back up and into contention in the Big 12 when the new revamped Big 12 starts next year. But, the newcomers are in. They still got a tough schedule here. Big 12 is going to be wide open. We don't know how good Texas or Oklahoma is going to be to shut this down, or we don't know how the improvement of the magical season of Kansas, how that's going to play out. We don't know how good Iowa State is going to be. So that's going to be a little bit of a surprise detail here for the Big 12. That's my opinion here. They could come out with 9 wins, but once again, they're labeled the dark horse of the Big 12 this year. Let's move right along. How about this? You asked for it. You finally got it, UCF fans. University of Central Florida Knights are now in a Power 5 conference. Can the Knights out-conquer the Big 12? The UCF Knights enter the Big 12 in 2023, eager to make a splash. Can the Knights hang with the league's top teams right away with Gus Malzahn at the helm? That's going to be a big question. We're going to try to answer that a little bit here in this part. UCF has the talent to compete. Malzahn rushing attack should thrive. The Knights lead the American Athletic Conference in rushing last year and brought back running back R.J. Harvey, quarterback Ryan Rumps, Plumlee is a dual threat dynamic duo. Rebuilding the line around center Loki Powell is crucial. The ground game will be paved the way. How about the playmaking of the defensive needs more disruption? Defensive coordinator Trevor Williams loses top tackler like Jason Johnson. Boosting the pass rush is vital. Defensive end Trey Moms, Morris Brash can wreak havoc. The secondary has a veteran anchor in safety, Devon Wilson. Forcing more turnovers would help against Big 12 attack. How about the baptism by fire in the new league? UCF jumps right in, hosting SMU. Louisville later matches up against Memphis, Temple, and UC and University of South Florida are key home game. Home dates with Cincinnati, Houston, and Tulane will show if the Knights can bring the Big 12. It is going to be a daunting debut slate, but the outlook for Gus Malzahn's program is talented enough to win 6+, even if in the loaded Big 12, contending for a conference crown may take another year or two, but UCF won't be an easy out and could surprise. See, let's talk about UCF. UCF has some good standard teams in the past, coming out of the ACC, the AAC, the athletic conference. Now they're going into a big Power Five. People ask for it. People want to see them. How they made some upsets here and there, in the past. Now they are in the big tier. They're in the Power Five conference. They finally got what they wished for. They are in the Power Five. They're in the Big 12. Big 12 is losing to Oklahoma and Texas this year, but they get the battle up front and they get to test the waters here. Like they said, there might be a 1 or 2 season way, but is Gus Malzahn the coach to lead them to the promised land? That's got to be the question that everybody wants to know. How is Gus Malzahn and can recruit in the Big 12? We know how he recruited at Auburn. We know how he did there a little bit in the past. Now he's come to UCF, trying to now build with Scott Frost, with Heupel, and coaches done down there, and now making them. And now he's stepping right into where it needs to be. He's back in a Power 5 conference in the Big 12. It's not like the SEC. The SEC's, we know this is the top echelon college football. The ACC's a little bit down, but coming back up steadily. Then you got the Big 10 football. So you got the SEC, Big 10, probably the ACC, the Big 12, maybe right below the ACC, or more. Could be right above the ACC. Then you got this. They got the Pac-12 teams and stuff like that still to come later on next week. So, I mean, if you're looking at UCF's prerogative here, they can be that elite, that team that everybody thinks they could be. But this is going to be a test run for them. This is going to help them build recruiting in that Orlando. You get in the Orlando area, outside of Orlando, Florida. You got Disney World. You got all the theme parks down there. You got a good barometer of things to do down in there. So they can recruit and sell that university a little bit there. They got a great following, great boosters. So, they're upgrading their stadiums again. Once again, they're upgrading something to their stadiums to make it specified to the Big 12 specifications. So that's going to be a huge fan. And I think UCF could be one of the top premier hard places to play. It could be a real tremendous home threat, this year. But it could be a little bit of surprise here. They might have ups and downs this season. It's understandable. They're changing from a lower tier conference to a bigger tier conference and stepping up the competition a little bit. So, that's going to be a little bit of face here for Gus Malzahn and that UCF team. So let's go to Morgantown, West Virginia, for our next team. West Virginia Mountaineers. The Mountaineers seeks a turnaround after back-to-back losing season. West Virginia looking to bounce back in 2023 under head coach Neil Brown. Can the Mountaineers make some noise in the Big 12 with a blend of veterans and transfers? Ground game should be strength of offense. The Mountaineers has a powerful running back core led by C.J. Donaldson. Quarterback Garrett Green is a dual threat but needs to improve as a passer. Rebuilding the receiving core is crucial. The O-line should pave the way on the ground. But this is the big key right here. The defense must improve against the pass. West Virginia struggled manually against the pass last season. The defensive line is a question mark after losing Dante Steele, linebacker Lee Kopolga, anchors the second level. The secondary has a veteran but needs playmakers. Navigating this tricky schedule, the Mountaineers face Pitt in a rival clash to open the year. Drawing Oklahoma, Baylor, and Texas Tech on the road in the Big 12 will take a lot of work. Kansas State, TCU, and Oklahoma State at home are swing games this year. Let's take a look at Neil Brown's outlook here of the Mountaineers. Neil Brown's seat is warming after 2 losing seasons, but the roster is solid and could surprise if the defense progresses. A bowl bear should be in a reach, but don't sleep on West Virginia in a wide open Big 12. So you're looking at West Virginia, 2 back-to-back losing seasons for West Virginia. They had some high hopes last year. Now they're in this tween years here. We'll call it a tween. Is this a non-rebuilding year? It could be a non-rebuilding year. It could be if it progresses. If the defensive side got a battle, the defensive side has got to be the strong point here for West Virginia. So if you look at the West Virginia, can they make that climb? They need to make that climb out of the losing season. Is Neil Brown's seat warming up? It could be. If they have 3 straight losing, I don't think he's going to lose his coaching this year. But if they do lose 3 straight years, I think he will start his 4th. I think he will start the next year, the 2024 season, on that hot seat, and it's going to be very hard starting the season. So this is going to be the make or break for Neil Brown this season right here for West Virginia. Can they make that run into the promise? And the Big 12 is wide open in my book. So they have promising. They have some good talent on their roster. Can they make that West Virginia? Can they turn Morgantown back into that hostile territory? People, going to West Virginia. The old saying cliche, hillbillies and stuff and the thing, guns going, the musket going off in the end zone, the blaring music, the fans right on top of you. Morgantown's a tough place to play. Can they make it that tough place? That's going to be a thing here to talk about. So let's go ahead. And the Big 12 is promising to be competitive as ever with exciting matchups, talented players. This conference will be a must-watch this season, but excitement doesn't stop there. Up next, we have the Big 10 football 2023 season preview, and we're going to come right back after these commercial breaks. You're actually watching and listening to the All Sports All Place Network, the College Breakdown. I am your host today, Ray Cruz. My co-host, Jerry Montez, is still on vacation, but guess what? He should be coming around here momentarily in August. Around the corner, college football is coming back. We are less than a month away. Stay tuned here on the All Sports All Place. College Breakdown is going to be your premier preseason college football show. We're going to take you from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. to kickoff time. And me and Dre will be back in our full glory, full promising, community yourself, a little bit more added new stuff each week to the show. And let's stay tuned because this is your college premier football station on the All Sports All Place Network. We'll be right back.
All Sports All Plays. All Sports All Plays. All Sports All Plays. 365, we making up plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, they working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. We on top of our game. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays.
This is the Fox D Streaming Network. Register to come on our channel at foxdnetwork.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the All Sports All Place college football breakdown on the All Sports All Place Network. You can find us. I put the link in there in the comments section. You can go to our link tree and you can find all the platforms that we're on here on the All Sports All Place Network. Let's look at some of the here comments, Sam. Let's look here. Let's go to this is the comments section time here. We're going to run a little bit of a comment section here. If you're on the Facebook, go ahead and let's see here. Says, good morning, college football crew. Good morning. We are days away from being in a month that contains college football. Yes, we are, big man. You know, this guy right here, Sam, and his Big Ten crew, his Big Talk crew talks about the Big Ten all the time. We're going to get ready to go ahead and we're going to do the South version of the Big Ten breakdown from what the Big Talk has talked in the past. They had a great show. They have a good show on the All Sports All Place every Friday morning. You can catch him here on the All Sports All Place Network. Also coming up later on today is going to be Unscripted. They are very good, and Frankie and Jay, they do a very good job there on the show. So he stayed with that. And then if you like the New York Yankees, Frankie has the Frankie show that talks about the New York Yankees during the week. He is starting to put that out there. The content we showing a little bit of interest in the New York Yankees. So, catch his show there. Chris Gonzalez, he does a good show with his wrestling room, brings all the wrestling content on here. Mike Keaton also does the wrestling. His wrestling shows are phenomenal. So if you like professional wrestling, like the WWE, AEW, we have it on here on the All Sports All Place Network. And give it out with Jay and Josh doing with throwing hands. That segment out there, that's combat sports. If you like MAA, you like any kind of boxing, you like combat sports, they're the crew to do it. They come on Thursday nights. So, as we grow the list here a little bit more, Martin does the Miami Hurricane show, the Commanders show on the Washington Redskins. He's one of our new guys. He does very good. Puts good content out. We got other shows on here too. We got the Big Talk, like I talked about Sam and his crew. You got Tony. Tony does a good all his shows, his job balls, his shows on this network too. Mike Hughes, Mike on the mic, Skyline with WNBA. Rob Scott, he's very good on here too. Can't forget Prime. Prime does his things on here too in the afternoon show. You got all kinds of people on here on the All Sports All Place Network, and we do try to do phenomenal. The show is getting big. The network's starting to grow a little bit here, so we need to keep the pressure. We need y'all to come on our YouTube, hit that bell, subscribe, come on Facebook, like us, love us, make comments, share it with all your friends here on the All Sports All Place Network. Let's continue right along here. We're going to move along. This is the college breakdown, not the Big Talk breakdown, but the college breakdown of the Big Ten. Home iconic football programs always brings intensity and passion to the field. Today, we'll explore the following teams: Illinois, the Fighting Alumni, Indiana Hoosiers, Iowa Hawkeyes, the Maryland Terrapins, Michigan State Spartans, Michigan Wolverines, Minnesota Golden Gophers, Nebraska Cornhuskers, Northwestern Wildcats, Ohio State Buckeyes, Penn State Nittany Lions, Purdue Boilermakers, Rutgers Scarlet Knight, and Wisconsin Badgers are your teams that we're going to be talking about here. Let's get started with, drum roll please, Illinois, the Fighting Alumni, and Brent Bielema. After breakthrough 8-5 season in 2022, expectations are high for head coach Brett Bielema. Fighting Alumni heading in 2023 season. Illinois will rely on its punishing running game, fierce defense as it tries to build on last year's success. Let's take a look at the offense. The offense is led by new starting quarterback Luke Almayer, who takes over for veteran Tom DeVito. Almayer is more mobile, has more muscular arm, which could open up the passing game. Top target wide receiver Isaiah Williams returns after leading the team with 82 receptions last year. The running game was lean on running back Reggie Love, who steps in for departed start Chase Brown. Love ran for 317 yards last season. Spelling Brown, standout left tackle Julian Pearl, and left guard Isaiah Adams anchors the offensive line. Let's take a look at Brett Bielema's defense and the Fighting Alumni's defense. The team strength is the defense, which was number one nationally in takeaway scoring defense last season. The defensive line is loaded with star defensive defense Jaraz Newton, 5.5 sacks, defensive tackle Keith Randolph, 13 total tackles for loss. Replacing NFL draftees in secondary will be a challenge, but cornerback Talon Nicholson is capable of shutting down receivers. Linebacker Tariq Brown's 8.5 tackles for loss is leading the returning tacklers. And new defensive coordinator Aaron Henry takes over the unit after coaching the defensive backs last year. What is the Fighting Alumni's outlook for the season? With a favorable schedule and lots of talent returning, Illinois has a chance to win 9+ games and reach a consecutive bowl game for the first time since 2010-2011 season. The run defense should be stout again, but the secondary is question mark. If Alomar stables the offense, Bielema's physical style could lead the Alumni back to top of the Big Ten West. Let's look at the key games. They got to go to Wyoming on August 26th, at Indiana on September 2nd, at Iowa October 7th, Nebraska at October 29th, at Michigan November 18th. Predictions 9-3, but the loss in the Big Ten game. Hey, could that happen? Could that happen? Could that happen there for the Fighting Alumni? Could they make it to the Big Ten and end up losing the Big Ten? Is Bielema that coach right now on the seat that is driving? We know I think he's still undefeated in the first game. He has not, as a head coach, has not lost his first game of the season. Could that come a loss this year? Can Illinois be that team in the Big Ten? Put pressure on Ohio State, putting pressure on Penn State, putting pressure on Wisconsin, putting pressure on Indiana. Can they be that team to step up in that tier, that top tier with the other big names here in the Big Ten? That's going to be a formation for Bielema and the Fighting Alumni. Are they on that tandem? Can they go back-to-back bowl games for the first year? And we know what they did at Penn State last year, and when they played them in, I guess, Happy Valley. So that's going to be a little bit of a standstill, a little bit of a situation there. So that's some good barometers you got to set for yourself with the program. But let's talk about something here. How about the basketball school of Indiana Hoosiers? Can they make it back to the football program that saw a little bit of sunshine in past years? Indiana Hoosiers, after back-to-back losing season, Indiana is hitting the reset button under head coach Tom Allen. The Hoosier uses the transfer portal to overhaul the rosters and bring in new talent on both sides of the ball with a lower expectation. Indiana University hopes this squad can return to a bowl game. The offense backfield is a strength, led by Wake Forest transfer running back Christian Turner, 574 yards and 12 touchdowns last year. He'll run behind experienced offensive line anchored by offensive tackle Matt Bedford, and new quarterback Trevin Jackson was a top recruit in 2022 who could ignite the passing game. Top wide receiver Cam Camper, 46 catches in 7 games, returned from the torn ACL from last year. Transfer must step up at the wide receiver other spot. Let's talk about the defense now. This is where we're going to get right now. The defense. The D was successful last year, but added a key transfer like the defensive lineman Andre Carter from West Michigan University, quarterback Jamar Johnson from Texas, improved linebacker Aaron Case, team high 96 tackles, led the unit. The defensive front has upsides, but must generate more pressure after finishing last in Big Ten in sacks. More help is needed in the secondary. Let's take a look at the outlook here. Allen hopes the portal will quickly rebound his roster after losing players to transfers. Bowl bid is possible if Jackson U stabilizes the offense and the defense becomes average. But schedule is challenging, so is improving the year goes along is a more realistic goal. Key games versus Illinois, September 2nd, versus Western Kentucky, September 17th, at Nebraska, October 1st, at Michigan State, October 8th. Prediction 5-7, no bowl game. So, Indiana there, we got to look at it, look at Indiana a little bit here. We got to think Jackson's got to stabilize that offense. They got to turn the offense around. That's a key. That's got to be a key stabilizer. The defense is a little bit suspect. I think a little bit more. They're a little bit more above there where their offense is going to be. So Jackson's got to come in. He's got to stabilize Indiana Hoosiers. Can they compete? Who knows? We don't know exactly what they got. Looking on paper right now, it doesn't look like they can compete. They're going to be 5-7. So with no bowl games, parents, that's what we're predicting. But like I said, we can talk about what's on paper, but until we see the team actually goddamn play physical football against a team, other teams besides themselves in practice and stuff. So that's going to be a thing. What kind of dream scenario is this pulling off an improbable upset against a big name to become bowl eligible? But it's still a significant rebuilding job. Classified 2023 as a reset year for Allen is fair. So, I mean, pulling some upsets against these big teams, they got a tall task. But like I said, Jackson's got to be a stabilizer on the offense. He's got to be big time. They got to play out of their minds right now. This is a rebuilding year for Allen. I'm sorry to tell you, Indiana Hoosier fans, but it is. They're going to be 5-7, so they're going to take a look what they're going to do here. We're going to keep an eye on the Big Ten a little bit here because we know the defense and the ground games are going to be phenomenal. But Jackson's got to throw it through the air. Indiana's got to improve the air game, and that's just a demon. The fact that's just what we need. That's what is just going to happen. There's nothing I can do about it. There's nothing you can do about it. They have to play like their season's on the line for every game. They got to be in every game. They got to provide. If they can win that first game, it starts off with momentum. They got to build that momentum early. Early games, they got to build your momentum for Indiana to keep going and get them confidence. If they don't get their early victories and don't get the confidence up and get into the league play, that's going to be some painful years for Indiana. And I feel sorry for Allen, but it's just how the nature of the beast is going. But let's move up to Ames, Iowa. Not Ames. I think it's Ames, Iowa, where the Iowa Hawkeyes, the tradition, fourth quarter, stand up and wave at the kids. I like that tradition. I like it a lot. It shows some deep respect for the kids with illness and stuff. But that was a great way and I like that tradition there. After winning 8 games and nearly making the Big Ten title game in 2022, Iowa looks to build on another solid season with the formula remaining the same. Lean, stellar defense, improved offense. The Hawkeye hopes new quarterback Caden McNamara, Michigan transfer, can ignite a passing game that ranked 128th nationally last year. Top targets include tight end Luke Latchley, 4 touchdown catches, and Michigan transfer tight end Eric All. The offensive line must improve after allowing 39 sacks. Running back Cleve Johnson and LaShawn Williams gives balance. We know Iowa's running game has always been stellar. That running game has always been stellar there. Now they added McNamara, they added Hall. They got some good, little bit of passing. Can they get the passing game thing? But the defensive Phil Parker annually produced an elite unit. Number 2 defense last year. The 2023 season should be no different. Excuse me. Cornerback Cooper DeJohn, 5 interceptions laid. A loaded secondary. Linebacker Nick Jackson, the Virginia transfer. Seth Benson, 105 tackles in 2021, fills the gaps. The defensive line is stout with the defensive Noah Shannon plugging the middle. What is the outlook? If McNamara settles the offense, Iowa will contend in a wide-open Big Ten West. The schedule is favorable through the rivals of Wisconsin and Minnesota are on the road. Expect another New Year's Bowl if the offense becomes even average. Key games at Minnesota, November 4th. Wisconsin, November 11th. At Nebraska, November 24th. Prediction 9-3, Holiday Bowl berth. The foundation is set for Iowa to challenge for the West title if the new playmakers click. But the offense needs to improve to take the next step. Either way, expect another solid campaign. We know Iowa's defense, bread and butter. Ames out the home crowd. Iowa's the toughest place to play, in my opinion, with the tradition, the crowd noise on top of you. But what they got is the defense has always been there. Iowa's defense has always been there. What has one thing? The offense. Offense, offense. They play no offense. Defense wins games in Iowa. That has to change this year. That has to change this year. My friend, 9-3, yes. It could happen. 10-2, possibility. But the possibility of that 10-2 is going to rely on McNamara and the new transfers, the offensive schemes, and they have to gel. They have to gel quick. What's going to set Iowa apart is starting off the season, winning big, going in these late matchups in November. It's going to be a key task for them. As they can keep it going and get the momentum going straight up, it could be top spot. It could be playing in that Big Ten championship game. But that is the key for Iowa. The offensive side of the ball has got to be offense. Defense has got to stay stellar. And the offense has got to alternate here with the defense. They got to put big numbers up. Defense can hold them. If the offense can score big, their defense can hold teams to bay. But they have to match up with big teams. They have to match up with the big play. And they have to keep the defensive prowess going. And let's see how Iowa does. How about the Fighting Terps of Maryland in Landover, Maryland? The Maryland Terps. I call them the Terps back in the ACC days when they played. Maryland looks to build on a back-to-back winning season under coach Mike Locksley. A talented offense, improved recruiting have the Terps poised to make noise in the Big Ten East. But offense quarterback Tua Tagovailoa, 3,008 yards, 18 TDs in 2022, led an explosive unit. He has elite targets and wide receiver Shujon Jones and transfer Therese Chambers from Florida International University and Caden Panther from West Virginia University. Running back Roman Hambe, 941 yards, 9 touchdown keys on the ground game. The offensive line must improve after allowing only 39 sacks last year. What is the Terps defense going to look like? New transfer like defensive end Donald Brown from St. Francis, cornerback Jaquan Shepard, Cincinnati. Added talented but D-ranked 110th in the Big Ten in yards last year. Linebacker Josh Barham, 6 sacks, is the beast. More pressure from the defensive line is needed after managing just 24 sacks last year. What are the outlooks? The Terps should push for 8+ wins if defensive progress. The offense still be hard to stop if Tagovailoa gets time. And upset a Big Ten East foe isn't out of the question. Key games are at Michigan, September 24th. Indiana, October 15th. Ohio State, November 19th. Prediction 8-4, the Quick Lane Bowl berth. Locksley has Maryland trending up entering year 4. Expect the momentum to continue with another winning campaign. Let's stop it right here. Let's talk about Maryland right now. Let's talk about they call them the Fighting Terps up there. You know, I've been to Bird Stadium. Well, it used to be called Bird Stadium. Great venue. I used to live up in the Washington, D.C. area when I was in the Navy. Had a chance to go up to Maryland University, watch some football games, watch some ACC competition. Now the Big Ten. Been in the Big Ten for a while. But my days with them is back primarily in the Atlantic Coast Conference days. Wouldn't see them when Carolina came up there. That's the only way I got to see North Carolina play mostly. But you got to look at this situation for the Terps. Their offense was high in sky. The defense let them down. Now, the offense has got to stay with the high in sky offense. The defense has to come down and match the offensive intensity. Maryland can score with teams But can they outscore teams? That was the question last year, and they really, really couldn't outscore teams in big games. So that's a take you got to look at right now. You got to look at the take here on that. You got to look at the situation here of the Maryland Terrapins. Can they be the team of that task here? Can they be the team that the defense has got to match their offensive level? That's got to be the team here. If they can do that, they can play with anybody in the conference, and they can play with anybody in the NCAA. But that defense has let them down last year. Offense was high, defense was low. Can they continue on? Let's go to Spartans. Let's go to Spartansburg. Let's go to Michigan State, the Spartans. Like they used to say, the Spartans of Michigan State. After a disappointing 5-7 season, Coach Mel Tucker faces pressure to keep Michigan State back on track in 2023. The offense has talent, must replace quarterback Peyton Thrawn, but the Prowls defense needs an overhaul after finishing last in the Big Ten against the pass. Yes, you heard it straight here. Their pass defense was ferocious last year. Offensive quarterback battles is between Noah Kim and Catton Hauser, the replaced Thorne. But the top targets, Jalen Reed and Keon Coleman, are also gone. Putting pressure on wide receiver Trey Mosley, running back Jalen Burgess, 683 yards, anchored the ground game. The offensive line allows 29 sacks, must improve. So yeah, here you go. You got to improve the offensive line. You got a quarterback issue here. Thorne was great last year. Can they have replacements? That's going to be the key on the offensive side. That's got to be the strategy on this team on coming out of spring practice. How does the offense really look? How's the offensive line going? Are they going to allow fewer 29 sacks? Or are they going to allow more of that 29 sacks? Or have they improved? They got to gel. So we know that this time of year the defense is going to be a little bit ahead of the offense. The offense got to gel a little bit. It's going to probably take 1 or 2 games for them to gel. Maybe if they can win early, get that momentum going, maybe this could set the team apart. But if they still give them sacks after their first game or continue on, that could cause in the mindset. So you got to be a mindset of team. You got to think you coming into the season with an improved offensive line and a quarterback that you have unknown right now. And can they produce? Let's talk about the defensive side of the ball for the Spartans. Every unit needs more work after giving up 324 yards passing per game last year. Transfer quarterback Samar Melvin from Wisconsin, defensive end Tomias Agley from Texas A&M, brings talented linebacker Jacob Wyndham is a star when healthy. Defensive line and secondary remains questioned. What are the outlooks for Mel Tucker? Mel Tucker's seat is warming after the step back last season. Offense should still put up points, but defense fixes are badly needed. Avoiding a losing record is realistic if the defense becomes adequate. Key games at Washington, September 17th. Michigan at October 29th. At Ohio State, October 8th. And prediction is 6-6, Quick Lane Bowl berth. Let's stop it right here for a minute. Let's talk about that October 8th game, Oklahoma State. Michigan offense has to be in a top notch coming out of September. August, September time. For August, you gotta get there. You gotta get there from these weak teams you're playing. September, you got to start building that progress. Mid-September, they got to be on high octane. By the end of September, they should be on full high octane of offense. If whatever offense they're going to be, whatever their defense is going to look like. Starting up in October 8th, you got to go to Columbus, Ohio. Mike Day's got the Ohio State team raving. Yeah, can Michigan State pull that upset in Columbus? We don't know. We don't really know what Ohio State's going to look like, what Michigan State's going to look like. We can talk a lot of stuff on paper. We can say a lot of stuff. Ohio State looks like they're going to blow rats off of everybody on paper with the talent. But then again, that talent's got to transfer off the paper onto the field. Michigan State, the Spartans look like they're going to be okay. They're going to be 6-6. They're going to make a bowl berth. To me, I think Michigan State could be effective if the offense can get and the defense can match together. Michigan State is not going to outscore people. The defense is going to have to stop people. If they can't stop and they can't control their offensive side of the ball, that's going to be a little top nears. That's going to be a little bit of a mixture that you can really talk about. So, can they reform alliance here? Can Mel Tucker get back to his mind? A setback last year. Lot of passing. That pass defense has got to be better. And time will tell as we go along here. But the pivotal year for Tucker is to get the program heading back in the right direction. The pressure is on to take a step forward. That's going to be the key for Michigan State Spartans. Let's go to Ann Arbor, Michigan, and the Michigan Wolverines and Jim Harbaugh. After back-to-back college playoff appearances, Michigan remains a top national title contender under Coach Jim Harbaugh this year. The formula is the same. Overpower opponents with dominant run game and fierce defense. Offense, the nation's number 5 rushing offense, returns running back Blake Coleman, 1,463 yards and 18 touchdowns. And Donovan Edwards, 991 yards, averaging 7 yards a carry. Quarterback J.J. McCarthy, 2,141 yards, 22 passing touchdowns, and added another dimension. The offensive line, anchored by Zach Zinner, is elite. Wide receiver Cornelius Johnson and Roman Wilson are big play threats for Jim Harbaugh's offense. Let's talk about the defense. Despite losing the defensive end, Aaron Hutchinson, to the NFL, the Wolverines still has the number 4 total defense last year. Linebacker Tatum Jr. Colson and Michael Barrett are formidable. Transfer quarterback Josh Wallace from UMass and defensive end Jonah Stewart from Coastal Carolina boosts an already loaded unit. Jim Harbaugh. Let's talk about it here. Harbaugh has some issues, got the issues solved, took care of Ohio State. Now he got himself 2 back-to-back college playoffs. What can Harbaugh do this year? Same formula. If it ain't broken, repeat until it gets stopped. That's what my old coach, high school football coach, says. We're going to run a play over and over if it gets success until the team stops. Literally, my coach in high school did that. When I'm talking about, let's take a look. I know it's high school football versus college, but I'm going to tell you the same philosophy is still the same. You run a play until a team can't stop it. If you got a good play going, you run that play until their team figure it out. Dude, we ran freaking option right back in high school. We ran it 22 times in a row in different formations, but same black play. Couldn't stop it. Harbaugh needs to run, mix in the pass. Run the ball, mix in the pass. But this year, he needs to do a little bit of tweaking on it. On first down, he needs to come out, surprise teams with passing. Mix it up with the run. Don't come in there and run the ball every first down. Teams will start loading the box. Team will start trying to figure you out. Michigan football has to be unpredictable on their run plays and their passing downs. Harbaugh's defense has got to be stout. Overpower their other team's offense. Get into their backfield. If they can play in their other team's backfield, Michigan has that dominant defense. Offensive line has to win the thing. They have to push the defense back into the linebackers so the linebackers cannot come up and make the tackles. Open up holes for the running game. That's going to be the thing because teams going to know they're going to come out and run. So they're going to be a lot of 8-man, 9-man fronts for Harbaugh. But he has to choose wisely. He has to play some play action passing. He has to do some things. And McCarthy has to pass the ball like he did last year with no turnovers to be successful. I think Michigan could be that team. What is the outlook for Harbaugh and the Michigan Wolverines operating at the highest level during his tenure? Expect another Big Ten title push and a college football playoff berth if the team avoids a slip-up. The run game, defense should dominate most opponents. Let's look at the key game here. Maryland, September 24th. At Michigan State, October 29th. At Ohio State, November 25th. The prediction is 12-1. Loss in the college football semifinals game is the prediction again. 12-1. But the pieces are in place for Michigan to remain elite. Another conference title would be a disappointment in Ann Arbor. You got to believe it. But you know that team over in Columbus is chopping that chomps. They get the dominance back over Michigan this year. Ohio State comes to the Big House where they had success. Can Michigan stay on top and keep the rivals going against Ohio State? That's going to be the question, and Mike Day's got the answer there for that. And we're going to keep talking about them later on here and too. Let's go to Minnesota. The Golden Gophers of Minnesota. Minnesota aims to build off 3 straight 9-win season under P.J. Flack. A stout defense remains, but the offense has questions after losing top running back Mo Abraham and veteran quarterback Tanner Morgan. Excuse me. Offensive quarterback Anthony Camillus gains experience late last season, but takes over the full time for Morgan. Running back Sean Taylor from West Michigan University transfer replaced Abraham. For the wide receiver, Chris Bell returns from injury to lead a talented group rebuilding the offensive line without center John Michaels. Smith is a key. So we have 2 keys there. We have the offensive line is a key, and the quarterback. Can Camillus gain experience back from last year, from the year that he had from the tail end? Now he's starting. He's the full-time starter. You got a new running back in Taylor and Tyler. You got Chris Bell, who's coming back from our injury, is a key for that talented wide receiver corps. So the big play talent is going to be there. But the rebuilding the offensive line without the center, John Michael Smith, is going to be that key. Can they have that? Can they have a continuity at the center of the calling the blitz package? So that's going to be the key there that you're going to look at here for the Gophers. But let's talk about the defensive side. Defensive coordinator John Rosie consistently fielded an elite unit, including the number 4 scoring defense last year. Linebacker Cody Linsenberg, 71 tackles, leads a typical stout group. Safety Tyler Newman, 4 interceptions, anchors the secondary. Defensive line must improve a weak pass rush. What are we going to look at the outlook? Let's look at the outlook for Minnesota. Minnesota should push for another 9-win season campaign if Camillus settles down at quarterback. Road trip to Michigan State and Nebraska are key. Winning the West remains unlikely, but a major bowl bid is possible. Let's look at the key games here. At Michigan State, September 24th versus Wisconsin and November 25th. Prediction 9-3, Citrus Bowl berth. What is the expectation? A tight West race, but Flack has the Gophers poised for another quality season. The next step is getting over the hump to challenge for a Big Ten title. So you're gonna be challenged for a Big Ten title. That's got to be the key for Minnesota. That's got to be mindset for Minnesota. But then again, you got your 9-win season there. Can they get to the 10-win season? They got tough game schedules. They got to go. They got certain games they got to look at. You know, the expectation. Minnesota's got to go to Chapel Hill. North Carolina's rebounding. They can't overlook them. But you can't overlook either Michigan State, Wisconsin, and the Big Ten. So that's got to be the possibility. They can get back to a bowl game, but Fleck's defense has got to stay dominant, but the offense and Camillus has to be better. They have to be better. They got to match the defense intensity. If they can match the defense intensity, they can get back into that bowl prediction. They can get back into that top tier and probably challenge for a Big Ten title. So let's go to Lincoln, Nebraska. Nebraska Cornhusker. Well. First year coach Mac Rule takes over a Nebraska program hungry to end a 6-year bowl drought. Rule's tracks record record of rebuilding programs like Temple, Baylor offers hope, but patience is still needed in Lincoln. And what we're talking about, former Georgia Tech quarterback Jeff Sims brings mobility, replaces Casey Thompson. Running back Anthony Grant, 1,041 yards in 2022, anchors the ground game behind a rebuilt line. Wide receiver Terry Palmer is gone, but Marcus Washington and Billy Kemp Jr. offers experienced targets. Let's talk about it here. Quarterback Jeff Sims coming out of Jacksonville, Florida at Soundwood. Had high expectations. Going to Georgia Tech. Did good. Not great, but did good. He's a running quarterback. He's got to get better on the throws. So you can try to put an 8-man box against Nebraska and Matt Rule. Matt Rule has that play action passing, but can he teach Jeff Sims how to throw the football? Because he came out of Sunderwood as a running quarterback. Sunderwood ran a running type offense with Jeff Sims at quarterback. I watched the game here at First Coast High School with Jeff Sims at quarterback. Ran all over First Coast. They couldn't stop it. That's the mentality again. You got to keep going what you got to go. But he has to be a better passer. Anthony Grant still got to have a stellar season. Trey Palmer's got to step up in the passing game. So does Marcus Washington and Billy Kemp Jr. They all got experience at the wide receiver. Can Jeff Sims get the football to him? That's the question on the offensive side. Let's talk about Matt Rule's defensive paralysis here at Nebraska. Matt Rule made his name coaching stingy defense, but has work to do with this group. Linebacker Luke Ramier, 90 tackles in 2022, is a star, replacing edge rusher Garrett Nelson. Achu Mathis wouldn't be easy, but the secondary should improve. What is the outlook this year for Matt Rule and Nebraska Cornhuskers? Rule 8-year contract sign signals Nebraska is ready to endure a rebuild. Developing young talent is a focus this year. Winning 5 to 6 games would show progress, but continuing in the West is unlikely. What are we talking about? Key games. North Dakota, September 3rd. That's not going to be a pushover. Oklahoma, September 16th. We know Oklahoma's coming back. Wisconsin, November 19th. We don't know how the new offenses for Wisconsin going to look like on Phil Longo. Prediction 5-7. No bowl game. That's what they're predicting. The future looks brighter under Matt Rule, but Huskers fans must stay patient. Patient for the Husker fans. So, likely another losing season before a breakthrough's coming. So, Cornhusker fans, what they say? You got to be patient. We know college football fans are not patient, especially in Lincoln, Nebraska, where he has success under Osborne, has success as a program. The last 6 years has been failures. They thought they got Scott Frost to come back to his alma mater. The way he did down at UCF didn't turn out the way it did. Matt Rule jumped out of Baylor, went up to the Carolina Panthers, the NFL, failed miserably. Comes back to college, signs a big contract in Nebraska. Nebraska is saying, hey, Matt Rule, you are known to rebound a college program. You need to rebuild us to a contention team, to a contention upset, to a contention alert. You need to build us for future games, future things. Can Matt Rule be that that thing. He had success in turning programs around. He did it at Temple. He did it at Baylor. Now he's going to bring his coaching talents to Nebraska, where they have 6 losing seasons. Probably going to be 7. And then the following year is supposed to be the year, because the second year on a Matt Rule's team usually improves in college football. Well, the Chicago area, Northwestern. We have known issues at Northwestern. The coach, Fitzgerald's gone. Hazing, the question. The news out of there. What is Northwestern going to look like this year? But they had a distressing 1-11 campaign in 2022. Northwestern looks to bounce back from a disastrous 1-11 campaign in 2022. New head coach Dave Braun takes over after controversial firing of Pat Fitzgerald. Development, talent, and stabilizing the programs are the top priority this season. It has to be. It has to be a Northwestern. It really has to be that top echelon, that top thing. That has to be that. It can't be no other way around. You can't go from only thing below a 1-11 season is an 0-12 season. You have to take a step up. So you're going to look on the offensive side. You got Cincinnati transfer quarterback Ben Bryan offers hope for a passing game that sputtered last year. Top running back Even Hull is gone, but Cam Porter, 117 yards in 2022, takes over. The rebuilding offensive line without star offensive tackle Peter Suzuki is crucial. Transfer must boost at the wide receiver core. So there you go. Right off the bat, we're talking about the offense. We haven't even got to the defense yet. The offense, the passing game has got to blossom. The wide receiver core has got to step up. The running back, the offensive line, they got a big holes in their offense. Once again, we're talking about paper. Paper doesn't lie sometimes. But you can't win games off paper. You got to put it out on the field. You got to take the game plan out of the locker room and do what the coaches tell you to do. But sometimes the talent is not there. Sometimes you get overmatched from other teams. Coaches chess match. You have a new head coach. You have all the hazing issues going on. You have all the actually off the field issues. That you got distractions. Spring, you got to come out of the spring ready to be focused for fall, for football. College football, you don't have a pregame like the NFL. You step on that field, you lose that one game, you could potentially knock yourself out of the college playoff football predicament. You started 1-11. 1-11 last year. Only way is to go up, not back. 0-12 is not there. Northwestern has to rebound and get back to playing Northwestern football and try to get in some wins this year. Let's talk about the defensive side. What's wrong with the defense? I'll tell you what's wrong. After finishing 125th nationally in yards allowed, defensive coordinator Dave Braun must fix his former unit. Linebacker Bryce Gallagher, 101 tackle, is a bright spot. But the defensive line lacks size, but has potential. More playmakers are needed in the secondary after a heavy arbitration there. What is the outlook of Northwestern football? With a lower expectation, Braun wants to see competitiveness, development in the first year post for zero. The roster has been depleted. Recently, avoiding another one-win season would show progress. I just said that. Key games are Miami of Ohio, not the Hurricanes, but Miami of Ohio, September 3rd. University of Connecticut, Huskies, September 17th. And then you got to play the Fighting Alumni October 31st. Prediction 3-9. No bowl bin. But you get 2 wins more than you did last year. That shows progress from a 1-team team. What is the total reset for the year? Rebuild the culture, talent level under Braum will take time. The increment on-field improvement as the season goes on is the one goal that they need. Put in the comments. Tell me the distraction that Northwestern has with all the hazing issues, all the stuff. How can these players and coaches focus on the field? The best way to take away from the off-field issues, play football on the field. We all love playing football. Some of us played high school football and couldn't go to college. Didn't make the NFL, talent-wise. We did other routes. But we sit there as a fan and watch the game of football every Saturday and Sunday. The game of football is fundamentals. You got to listen to the coaches. You got to produce what the game plan tells you to produce. You got to scout the team, other teams' weakness, and exploit it. Right now, teams know Northwestern's weakness. They have no offense. The defense lackluster. They have solidified their holes and show improvement to get there. Or we could see an 0-12 team in Northwestern. Because Big Ten is not forgiving. If you have a low lackluster thing, they will pour it on you and embarrass you. You want to take your pride and put it up there and make your team elevate your team. You have to elevate your team. Well, let's talk about here the Devil's Advocate in Columbus, Ohio. Ohio State Buckeyes and Mike Day. After falling just short of a national title, Ohio State remains a top championship contender under Coach Ryan Day. Loaded with elite talent, the Buckeyes expect nothing less than a Big Ten title and a playoff berth. But the Michigan hurdle must still be clear. How many times have we said that to Michigan? The Michigan hurdle must be clear when they talk about Ohio State. Now when you're turning it around, and it's Ohio State talking about the Michigan hurdle must be clear. Must be. Mike Day has to get that back on. Dominate your rival. You got to get it back. Let's look at the offense. A new quarterback must emerge, but Kyle McCord has waited his turn. NFL prospects, including wide receiver Marvin Harris Jr. and Emeka Ugba, dots the skill position, but the offensive line rebuilds, but is always a strength. Running back Trevon Henderson is explosive when healthy. Let's talk about the offense. The key hole on this whole entire offense is the offensive line needs to be rebuilt, but it's always been their strength. So that's one hole. CJ Stroud's not there no more. It falls on Kyle McCord, waiting for his turn. He's an NFL prospect. But also, you have Marvin Harris Jr., who had a tremendous injury, scary injury, in the national championship game that turned the game, in my opinion, turned that game around for Georgia. Along with Emeka Ugba. That wide receiver core and the running back positions are solid. The offense, once again, the offensive lines can gel again, and the quarterback can do it's going to be the weak part until they get some confidence in them. That's why you play in August, September to get your confidence up until you get going. Let's talk about their defensive side of the ball for Mike Day and the Ohio State Buckeyes. The D made strides last season, but still has work to match the offense. Defensive end JT Tumalo and Jack Sawyer brings heat off the edges. Defensive backs Leighton Ransom and Denzel Burke anchors the secondary. The linebacker trio is rock solid. So you're talking about the defense. Defense is rock solid. So I expect the beginning of the season, the defense is going to carry Ohio State while the offense is still catching up. If the quarterback gets solid, Ohio State can make that berth again. It's going to depend on the quarterback position and the offensive line position are the two weakest spots right now for Ohio State. What is the outlook for the Buckeyes? They expect the Buckeyes to return to the college playoffs with a mix after last year's narrow miss with the regular season hinge only finally topping Michigan. I don't know where they're getting that from right now because right now they got to prove that. Anything but a 12-1 is a disappointing. Key games, Notre Dame September 3rd, at Michigan November 25th. Prediction 12-1, loss in its college football semifinals. Ohio State remains on the doorstep of another championship. Day's loaded program must be more talented to break through soon for his exclusive first title. So the first title for Mike Day is Lumen and Ohio State. They look good on paper. Once again, that paper mache that we're talking about, they look good on paper. But can they? Let's put it in the comment. How many people think that Ohio State is going to be up there who can contend for a national title? The two weakness spots is on their offense right now. Defense is solid. Going to carry them the first half of the season until they get the quarterback confidence and get that offense going. But look who's on the thing. Penn State Nittany Lions. Woo! Franklin's got the Penn State Nittany Lions looking not too bad. Expectation for Penn State's back up there once again. Our sky high for Penn State after flirting with the college football playoffs in 2022 with an elite talent led by touted quarterback Drew Eller. The Nittany Lions have their sights set on dethroning Ohio State and winning the Big Ten title. That's going to be the question. That is the question mark. Can Penn State dethrone Ohio State and win the Big Ten title? Can they dethrone Michigan? Time will tell. Let's talk about the offense. Eller takes over after waiting his turn behind veteran Sean Clifford. Running back duo Nicholas Singleton and Kieran Allen is explosive. Losing top wide receiver Parker Washington and Mitchell Tinsley hurts. But the O-line anchors by offensive tackle Olu Fashu should be among Penn State's best. So the wide receiver core is going to be the question for Penn State. Quarterback is still going to be a question. But offensive line is not a question. Running back's not a question. So the offense is going to be carried by the offensive line and the running back in the first part until they get the quarterback in there where they can see and get his confidence up. So they're going to have to make serve here in August and September timeframe. What does Penn State defense look like? Rebuilding the secondary without safety. Jalard Brown and Joey Porter Jr. is critical. Linebacker Abdullah Carr 6.5 sacks in 2022. Curtis Jacobs packs a punch. The ends are chopping. Robinson provides a pass rush juice. What is the outlook for Penn State? With Michigan and Ohio State at home, there's the key. What we talk about college football. When your home games, called road games, are tough, guess what? Happy Valley is a tough place to play in Penn State. Michigan and Ohio State. Crowd's going to be up for it. They got to produce. They have to produce against those two teams to take that next step. Now, if I was Michigan and Ohio State, I won't overlook Penn State. If you overlook them, sometimes that upset bug will hit at an unexpected time. With Michigan and Ohio State at home, the schedule aligns for a run to Indy if Elazar stabilize the offensive quickly. Contending for the college playoff is realistic if Penn State navigates a tough October. Key games, Ohio State, October 29th. At Michigan, November 18th. Prediction 11-1 Big Ten championship game loss. It is time has come for Franklin to break through past Ohio State and Michigan. The pieces are there for Penn State. Best shot at the league's title and college playoff berth is in the playoff era because they got the two best teams in the league at home. You must come out of those with victories. You're home. The crowd, they got to be there. But what we're talking about here is that at the beginning of the season, getting that momentum going into October to play Ohio State. Continue that momentum going into November to play Michigan. You don't have to travel to Columbus. You don't have to travel to Ann Arbor. You're at home. Home cooking. Games are there to take. You got to take them, Franklin. This is what Penn State hired you for. This is what you need to do. You need to keep taking it and keep putting it. You've been building. You need to take the next step past, and that is beating Ohio State and Michigan in the same year. Well, let's move from Penn State. Let's go to Purdue Boilermakers. After a historic Big Ten title game appearance, Purdue moves on from Jeff Brom, who went to Louisville, to first-year head coach Ryan Walters, with offensive coordinator Graham Harrell running the offense. The Boilermakers hope to sustain their success. Look at the offensive things. Texas transfer quarterback Hudson Card takes over for Aiden O'Connell. Top wide receiver Chris Jones is gone, but Corey Graves from Marshall transferred in. Running back David McCoby and Dalen Downing must carry the load. The offensive line returns 4 starters to protect Carr. Carr showed something at Texas. Now he needs to come to Purdue and show it in Big Ten play. The Boilermakers are known to upset teams at unexpected times during the season. This is not the case. This is still the case again. But what the defense looks for the Boilermakers, former defensive coordinator Walters looks to improve his own unit. Safety Cam Allen, 6 career interception, anchors the secondary. Linebacker offensive OC brothers. Karan Jenkins are tackling machines. Defensive needs some transfers to generate pass rush. That's again, we talk about all teams. Every team needs to generate pass rush. You have to generate that pass rush to get them off kilter. What is the outlook for Walters' first year? Wants to build a foundation Brom led in West Lafayette. A bowl return seemed likely if the Card steps up at quarterback. Big Ten West contention might be another year away. Key games are at Syracuse, September 17th. At Wisconsin, October 22nd. Indiana, November 26th. Prediction 6-6. And a guaranteed rated bowl is where they predict them to go. What does the Boilermaker enter a transition year under Walters and Brom's next exit? Gradual improvement and a lower tier bowl bid seems realistic. So that's realistic. That's the goal that you're looking at. That's a realistic thing, time frame there. And that's something you got to really look at here. So Purdue can do some upsets, some in key positions, and some key times. So we're going to see how they produce on and see how they carry on in their explosiveness in their area. So let's move right along. Let's go to Piscataway, New Jersey. Yes, I said it. Piscataway, New Jersey. Rutgers Scarlet Knight. Greg Saggiano rebuilds continues in year 4 of his second stint at Rutgers. While Big Ten East contention remains unlikely, the Scarlet Knights have enough pieces to push for a bowl bid if the offense improves. Once again, that big key word, if offense improves. Let's take a look at Graciano's offense in the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. The quarterback battle is open with transfer Naval Vertel and even Simmons competing this spring. Better line play would aid running back Kyle Monaghay and Aaron Young. Wide receiver Aaron Kruskin is deep threat but needs help. Let's look at the defense. Even with linebacker Mo Tour back from injury, the D needs more sacks. Take away cornerback Max Melton, 3 interceptions, leaves a solid secondary. Transfer defensive tackle Wesley Bailey from UCF and linebacker Deion Jenkins from Arkansas as talent. Let's look at the Scarlet Knights outlook. Rutgers should expect a 4+ win and a lower tier bowl bid, but the offense needs vast improvement for that to happen. Avoiding the basement of the East is also a key. Key games at Boston College, September 3rd. Indiana, it's October 22nd. And at Maryland, November 26th. Prediction 5-7, no bowl. Graciano has Rutgers trending slightly upward, but moderating goals are reality again this season. Getting 6 wins would be success. So, can Rutgers get 6 wins? That's going to be the key here. That's going to be the key for Rutgers. Can Rutgers get that 6 win? Can Rutgers get a 6 win? Can Rutgers get into a bowl game? Once again, the offense is a big key. The defense has got to be there. The defense has got to carry the Scarlet Knights through some of the season, early days till they get the offensive pressure. We don't even know who's going to be starting quarterback. That could give you a game advantage in game 1 if you don't announce the starting quarterback until the game. But let's go to Camp Randall and Madison, Wisconsin, and the Wisconsin Badgers. This is going to be a real treat for you. We might see a different style of football for the Wisconsin Badgers, and I'm going to tell you why. After a rare down year, Wisconsin hits a reset under new coach Luke Finkle. More dramatic offense and a Big Ten have forced Fickle to open up the Badgers' attack while maintaining their smash mouth identity. Offense of SMU transfer quarterback Tanner Mercedes adds a downfield pass threat. Running back William Allen is a star but needs better line play. Transfer wide receiver CJ Williams from USC and William Pullen from Cincinnati provides big play potential. What we're talking about here is what we're talking about. Lou Ferring from the UNC's offensive coordinator. We know he's pass happy, runs the football, unpredictable, fast-paced offense. This is going to be a entirely different Wisconsin team, but you can't lose the fact that they got a bruising running back and a power play. You got to still be that running team. Palongo likes to pass the ball, short, immediate passes, and play some passing downs on passing downs, or sometimes run the football. He still got to maintain the Wisconsin identity of running the football. But what kind of Badgers defense we're going to look at too? Replacing linebacker Nick Herberg, pass rush production will be challenging. Nose tackle Canoe Benton is also gone. Linebacker C.J. Gotts is ready for more. Cornerback Alan Smith will anchor the secondary, and new transfer safety Josh Murray boosts the unit. What is the outlook for Finkel? Immediately raise expectations in Madison, double-digit wins, and Big Ten West contention. Seemingly likely under the proven coach if Mercedes sparks the offense. Once again, you got to have somebody spark the offense. Key games here at Ohio State, September 23rd. That's going to be a big one for them. At Iowa, November 11th. Minnesota, November 25th. Prediction 10-2, Rose Bowl berth. You got to go to Columbus with the new stuff, new quarterback, late September. What is it? You build your team up, schedule. You got your team scheduled. If you start in August, you got first week of September, second week in September to get ready. Booyah. Big game right away in Columbus, Ohio, against Ohio State. This is a test. This is going to be a test for Finkel. After falling behind in the division, Finkel has the Badgers poised to regain control of the West, expected enthusiasm bounce back year in year one. So, can Wisconsin do it? Put it in the chat. Can Wisconsin do it? Can Wisconsin upset Ohio State September 23rd? Big time will tell. The Big Ten is no stranger to the memorable moments and fierce rivalries, and we can expect another unfortunate season this year. Moving on, let's shift our focus to Conference USA football in 2023 previews. We'll be back on the All Sports All Place Network. This is the All Sports All Place College Breakdown. I am Ray Cruz. Dre's on vacation. Dre should be coming back. He should be pumped, well rested, and we get the show rocking and rolling when we start breaking down games. I can't wait till we get ready to break down games. But next week, remind you, next week on the College Breakdown, we'll have 5 more conference breakdowns. Continue right along, leading all the way up to the first week of the season breakdowns. Dre will join me. We'll be back to our old crew. We'll be back on the All Sports All Place Network right after these messages.
All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making a plays. We talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. We on top of our game. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays.
This is the Fonx D Streaming Network. Register to come on our channel at fonxdnetwork.com.
Welcome back to the All Sports All Place Network. I am Ray Cruz. If you go to the top of the comment, I pinned where our link tree is, where all our platforms are if you want to catch the show. Also coming up, we're talking about the Conference USA Football 2023 season. We're in the second hour of the show. Leading up to the kickoff here, starting up in August. Dre's on vacation. He'll be well rested. We'll be back to our crazy selves here on the College Sports Network breakdown show that we always are. What are we looking at now? We're going to take a step down from the Power 5 conference down into the Conference USA Football 2023. We keep everybody equal. We keep all the equal conferences, even the smaller schools. People might not like it, but it's football. We're talking about everything here on the All Sports All Plays College Breakdown Show. We don't show bias to the Power 5 conference. We don't show bias to anybody. We show where we commentate here. We commentate football, and Conference USA plays football. So let's continue right along. Conference USA may only sometimes be the national spotlight, but always delivers exciting football action. Here are teams we'll be covering today for the Conference USA. Florida International Panthers, Jacksonville State Gamecocks, the Liberty Flames, Louisiana Tech Bulldogs, Middle Tennessee Blue Raiders, New Mexico State Aggies, Sam Houston Bearcats, UTEP Miners, Western Kentucky Hilltoppers. Let's get started. Let's talk about the Florida International Panthers. the team called FIU Panthers are looking to build off the momentum from last season, promising start under new head coach Mike McIntyre. After going 4-4 in his first half of the 2022 season, the Panthers stumbled down the stretch, but showed flashes of their potential. Let's talk about their offense here a little bit. The Panthers returns an experienced offensive core led by quarterback Garrison James. Let's talk about the offense will continue their aggressive passing attack, but James needs to improve on limiting turnovers after throwing 11 interceptions last season. A top playmaker wide receiver Therese Chambers transferred to Maryland, and defense and tight end Rivero Fairweather transferred to Auburn are gone, but wide receiver Chris Mitchell and Dean Patterson are back after averaging over 15 yards per catch. Let's look at the offensive line. Took a hit, losing standout Lindell Hudson, Florida. Shamara Hobley, undecided. South Dakota transfer Shamar Lawrence should step in as the lead back after top rusher Lexus Joseph went down with a knee injury. The line needs to mesh quickly to open holes for the running game. What does that defense look like? I'll tell you a little bit here about the defense. The defense struggles last season, giving up over 450 yards and 37 points per game. But the unit returns experience and added key transfers to shore up weakness. In the end, Jack Daly Bryant and Avery Hoff Miami brings quickness to pressure the quarterback. Let's look at the leading tackler. Gathan Beno transferred to Stanford, but linebacker Sean Peterson is back after an all-around strong 2021 season. Safety Jamal Potts is a versatile playmaker, while Kent State transfer JoJo Evans brings production to the secondary. What can we say about the outlooks here on FIU? I'm going to tell you that right now, too. With a more manageable Conference USA schedule, FIU has the experience and an influx of transfers to show progress in McIntyre's second year. If the offensive line gels and James limits turnovers, the offense can put up points. What does the defense added athleticism up front should improve their gaining experience, but the Panthers are poised to surprise and push for a bowl bid. So, FIU Panthers are trying to push for a bowl bid. Got to upset some teams this year. Your offense has got to play stellar. Your defense has got to play unbelievable. If they can gel their offensive line and take care of the ball and then don't have the 11 interceptions like they had last year, you can see what's thank you for all the awesome things there, it says. But you can see some stuff that comes up here. You can see the way they are thinking here of the mentality of FIU at the Panthers. You got to understand the situation. All teams are not going to be that powerhouse teams in these lower tier conference. So their conference titles could be wide open. And FIU's got to take advantage of that in this situation to improve. That's the consistency of what they got. So let's talk about this next team. Not the South Carolina Gamecocks. Don't get them confused. This is the Jacksonville State Gamecocks. I just want to point that out. If I say Gamecocks, and I'm not talking about South Carolina, they're in the SEC. We're not in the SEC right now. We're in the Conference USA. This is the Jacksonville State Gamecocks. Let's continue right along. Let's continue right along here. Jacksonville State Gamecocks are ready to bring their powerful rushing attack to the FBS level as a new member of Conference USA, led by their head coach, Rich Rodriguez. Spread option offense. This team knows how to run the ball and control the clock. That's going to be the key for the Gamecocks here. The Gamecocks offensive, averaging 424 total yards and nearly 300 rushing yards per game last season. Running back Anward Lewis and McLeek Jackson forms a dangerous 1-2 punch, with Lewis averaging over 7 yards per carry in 2022. Dual threat quarterback Zion Webb is back running the show after counting for 13 rushing touchdowns, and top target wide receivers Sterling Government and tight end Sean Brown proves big playability starting offensive lineman returns to pave the way for the ground game. Arizona transfer Jamar Joyner brings physical to the receiving core. This offense will be pound away on the ground. So the spread option, it's really the read option. He calls it a spread option. That means it's like an option offense in a shotgun formation, basically. It's the same concept, but your quarterback's always in shotgun formation. So you got to look at this. You got to look at his offensive tendencies here. Rich Rodriguez, when he was at West Virginia and Arizona, he run that spread offense, that spread option. That means your defensive ends on other teams got to be patient. They got to play like they play in a regular option team, not caving in, coming towards the quarterback, but coming up the field towards the quarterback, so the quarterback don't have a chance to get out of that range for you. When they do run the option, the best way to defend the option type runs are you have a linebacker flowing to the quarterback and you have a guy playing the pitch man. That takes care of the option. But a big but, you got to watch the dive inside. When they put the ball in the belly of the well, in this case, a running back, you get defensive end cannot crash quickly because he pops it out and he pops right behind your defensive end, and that opens up big plays. Your defensive ends on other teams to play this type of style of offense against this team, you have to come upfield and pressure that way, so you won't be on that backside. What does the defense look? Let's talk about their defense. Let's talk about the Jacksonville State Gamecocks defense. The aggressive JSU defense generates pressure. Last season, led by star defensive end Chris Hardy. 5.5 sacks. Hardy's the teams with defensive end J-Rock Swain. What a name, J-Rock, man. Swain to disrupt an opposing backfield. The linebackers are undersized and needs reinforcement from transfer safety. Kalob Fuqua is converted receiver who made 55 tackles in 2022. Cornerback Jamar Jemison is a ball hawker despite his small frame. You got to look at the defense should hold its own, but will be tested by high-power offenses. So what is the outlook for Coach Rodriguez that will have the Gamecocks ready to run over Conference USA opponents with their prolifically rushing attack? They have talent, experience on both sides of the ball. If the defense can generate turnovers and get stopped, JSU will contend in their first FBS season. But the powerful ground game gives them a chance in every game. There you go. That's what you got to talk about, right? That's what you got to talk about, this option offense. They're going to keep you in games sometimes because teams got to prepare for them. And if you have not seen this team play and you have not played against them and they moved up to the FBS for the first time, usually they might have success the first time of the season because you're getting game film on them. You're feeling how they play. But Rich Rodriguez's offense will brutalize you if you make mistakes. But the key is they got to minimize their turnovers, keep the time possession in their favor, and hope the defense will stay dominant. So let's go. Let's talk about the next team here. This is an interesting team, which Hugh Freeze is gone to Auburn. We'll talk about him when we get to the SEC. Liberty Flames The Liberty Flames out of Roanoke, Virginia enters the 2023 season with a new head coach conference and plenty of roster turnover. After a roller coaster in 2022, can a new coach, Jamie Chadwell, which he coached at Coastal Carolina and out of Conway, South Carolina, keeps the Flames competitive. We know his history at Coastal Carolina. Can he bring that same magical to Liberty? Liberty offense must improve after struggling down the stretch last season. The offensive line is a key. Returning veterans needs better pass protection. The running game will look different without leading rusher Dahad Hunter. Now in the transfer portal, Wake Forest transfer Quentin Cooley and blue chip recruit Vaughn Blue are the new go-to backs. Jonathan Bennett and Tennessee transfer Caden Salter will battle for the job at quarterback. Whoever wins out needs to limit turnovers. Top receiver Norv Furtz is back along with CJ Daniels as targets. More help will come through the transfer portal. Let's look at the defensive side. Despite losing most of its top playmakers, Liberty's aggressive defense should still wreak havoc. Defensive tackle Kennedy Charles is a disruptive force up front after recording 6 sacks last year. Linebacker Trey Dupree will take on more significant role after losses in the linebacker corps. The secondary has talent led by linebacker lockdown corner Kobe Singleton. New contributors from the portal must emerge for the pass defense to hold strong, but the key will be maintaining the high turnover numbers and pressure from last season. What is the outlook for Chadwell and his tenure from Coastal Carolina now transferred up into Liberty? With Chadwell installing his system and an influx of new transfers, it may take time to mesh. The powerful offense should still put up points behind and an improved line. Defense has holes, but the scheme produces big plays. The Flames' ceiling hinges on a quicker, cohesive, limited miscues. So, we know that how he coached down at Coastal Carolina is totally going to be totally different going up into the mountain areas of Roanoke, Virginia, and Liberty. Liberty is a Christian university, a great school. My cousin she graduated from there. My cousin's daughter. So you got to understand the situation here. The miscues of turnovers they're deadly. They are very deadly for teams at demise. Under Chadwick, Coastal Carolina didn't have too many. Can he bring that same tenacity? And whoever wins that quarterback job, can they sustain Liberty? With huge free setup for success, Chadwell has to bring his knowledge from Coastal Carolina up to Liberty to turn them into that sensation they did down in Coastal Carolina area. Let's go. Let's move right along. Let's talk about Louisiana Tech Bulldogs 2023 season. Let's talk about their previews here. Let's talk about Louisiana Tech. What are they going to be seeing here for Louisiana Tech? Defense struggled mightily last season, allowing 40 points per game with several key transfers. But the unit hopes to show improvement in 2023. The biggest issue was generating pressure, as the Bulldogs had just 16 sacks. The line needs a breakout pass rush to emerge after a by-committee approach last year. JUCO addition and defensive tackle Omar Pugh should help the push up front. At linebacker leading tackler, Hugh Davis is back, but group needs playmakers. The Stephen F. Austin transfer, Brevin Randall, will be counted on the produce at linebacker after missing most of 2022 season. Secondary strength is led by ball-hawking cornerback Willie Roberts, safety Cedric Singleton, and Stephen F. Austin's transfer Miles Hurd. Brings experience back to the end. More juice up to the edge is necessary, but the defensive back have talent. With the infusion of transfer Louisiana Tech hopes to reduce to nearly 40 points per game, allow the front seven must improve at getting stops and getting off the field on third down. If the defense steps up, it takes the pressure off the offense. What are we going to talk about here? We're talking about Louisiana Tech after rebuilding year. Louisiana Tech's head coach, Sonny Cumbie, aims to take a big step forward in 2023 with the key additions throughout the transfer portal and a weaker Conference USA schedule. The Bulldogs has the pieces to show progresses both sides of the football. Let's look at the offensive side. The offensive struggled last season, but added transfer to ignite the attack. Veteran quarterback Hank Betchmer from Boise State provides a steady hand to lead the unit. Smoke Harris and Kyle Maxwell gives Betchmer solid targets and passing game. Running back Craig Williams Baylor brings explosive and completed return Marquise Crosby and Chase Thorne to the offensive line has experience, must improve pass protection. Now, once again, the pass protection's got to hell up for Bushmare to have that time to get the ball down the field, get your offensive going, and that's got to gel quickly. We talked a little bit about the defense. The defense allowed over 40 points last year. The newcomer Purdue anchors the defensive line. Randall is expected top tackler. The secondary strength is led by ball hawking quarterback Willie Roberts. More pressure and run defense is needed. What is the outlook we're looking at here for the Bulldogs? While a bowl trip would signify progress, Cumbie is still reshaping the program in a 2-year. Betchmer is steadiest, should help the offense find consistency. The defense needs and a new addition to contribute immediately. Showing improvement in a weak Conference USA would lead to a surprise win or two. So that's what you're looking at right now for Louisiana Tech. The steady of Bushmere, Cumbie's play calling, and show improvement. You got to show improvement from game 1 to game 2 to game 3. Keep showing improvement, and then your team could gel at a certain time and put you in that position to get into at least to a bowl game and get into that winning percentage there for them. Let's move on to Middle Tennessee Blue Raiders. The veteran head coach Rick Scottsdale has Middle Tennessee poised for another solid season after an 8-win campaign in 2022. With a strong core back, the Blue Raiders aim to contend in Conference USA. Let's take a look at their offensive side of the ball. The offense needs more consistency, especially from the ground game that struggles last year. Running back Frank Pisant led an inexperienced backfield behind a line that lacks power. Quarterback Nick Vadito is an experienced caretaker, but lost his top target, Jalen Lane. Untested receivers must step up around the deep threat of DJ England Kishlon. Let's look at the defensive side. The aggressive defense excels against the run, but was gashed through the air. Interior force Marlon Cook led the line, and pass rusher Zane Wood, linebacker Ty Lee is a tackle machine. Safety Trey Fullen and John Moffett led a ball hawking secondary that generates turnover. More pressure is needed. What is the outlook for Coach Scottsdale and the Raiders? Consistency. Field competitive teams. Veterans on the defense should carry the squad while the offense searches for playmakers. A weaker Conference USA slate provides optimism. Expect another lower bowl trip behind an experienced defense. So in time constraint here, we're going to move right along here. Let's talk about New Mexico State Aggies. After a historic bowl season in 2022, the New Mexico State aims to build off that momentum in its first Conference USA campaign under head coach Jerry Kill. Kill quickly turns the Aggies into a winner thanks to a stout line and a solid running game. Let's look at their offense. The offensive line returns 3 starters to continue paving the way for running back star Thomas and Jamon Jones. Quarterback Diego Pave was a dramatic playmaker, rushing and passing for over 2,000 yards total. Transfer Eli Stowe from Texas A&M still pushes Pave. Top target Coral Dave and Jonathan Brady are back out of wide receiver. This offense will pound the rock and feature quarterback mobility. Let's look at the defensive side of the ball for the Aggies and Jerry Kill. What did they bring to the table? Well, I'm going to tell you right now what they're going to bring to the table. While the defense excels last season, it suffered a significant loss. Linebacker, including top tackler Chris OJ, and Trevor Bohart. The line needs defensive Trice Thomas to generate more pressure. The secondary is rebuilding around safety Aaron Solden. Generating a takeaway was a strength and needed to continue. What is the outlook for Jerry Kill and the Aggies for this season coming up? Kill's physical brand of football leads to quick results last year. They control games with Pevin Linden and an experienced offense and solid line. Replacing a lost defensive playmaker is crucial. If the defense reloads, the Aggies have enough pieces to make a noise in their new conference. Back-to-back winning seasons are possible. So it's possible for Jerry Kill to have back-to-back winning seasons. So we're going to continue on here. Time constraints. We got another conference to go up. Let's talk about the Sam Houston Bearcats. Sam Houston is stepping up into the FBS level in 2023. Another first-time FBS level team. They're joining the Conference USA under head coach KC Keeler. Keeler is one of the just two active coaches with FCS national titles at multiple schools. After dominating the FCS, the Bearcats aim to make noise in their new league. What kind of offense we expect from Sam Houston? If you don't know about Sam Houston's football offense, we're going to tell you right now here on the All Sports All Plays College Breakdown. The offense struggled in 2022, but got an influx of transfers to help reboot the passing game. Quarterback Keegan Shoemaker, Grant Gunnell, Xavier Ward are all in the mix to take over. Top targets are wide receiver Nolan Smith and tight end IE. Returns from last season. Utah State transfer running back John Gentry adds a punch to the ground attack. The line must improve its pass protection. What kind of defense are we looking at, Sam Houston? If you don't understand their defensive thing, I'm going to tell you a little bit about their defense now. What can their defense be? Sam Houston defense was a stout last season, allowing just 21 points per game. Linebacker Kaveh Gaither and Jalen Phillips was disruptive duo. Pass rusher Mark Perry is back after missing 2022 season. Defensive back Davis Fisher and transfer Jarvis Johnson brings experience to the secondary. The line needs to reinforce, but the Bearcats have playmakers at the every level. What kind of outlook does Coach Keeler looks at here on the outlook? Keeler strategically reassured key players with an eye on the 2023 season. The defense is loaded with talent, while the offense reinvents itself. It may take time to click against FBS foes, but Keeler's track record shows Sam Houston will compete immediately in the Conference USA. So let's talk about the UTEP, University of Texas, El Paso, the Miners. What are the Miners looking at? After back-to-back bowl appearance, UTEP aims to sustain its success as head coach Daniel Dimmel's fifth season with an experienced group should contend in a new conference USA thanks to solid lines and aggressive defense. What kind of offense are we expecting for UTEP? UTEP boosts one of the top offensive lines in Conference USA, returning all conference starters, including standout offensive tackle Stephen Hutter. Quarterback Gavin Harrison must improve his consistency, but has a weapon in wide receiver Kelly Harcardi and transfer running back Deion Hankins takes over to lead the role from Ronald Awet. The Miners will lean on the ground game and line play, which they should because that's their That's their formidable format. What kind of defense did the Miners run here? The Miners owned the top defense in Conference USA last season and brought back star defensive end Praise Emuel to pressure quarterback Trice Knight, to lead an athletic linebacking core that reloads after key losses. Safety Kobe Hilton is a sure tackler on the back end. His aggressive unit will swarm the ball and force turnover. What kind of outlook does Coach Demo has? It has built a physical, competitive program in El Paso. The experience up front on both sides should control games. If Harrison stabilizes at quarterback, the offense will put up points. The defense is stacked and will carry the team. Expect another bowl trip for the Miners. How about Western Kentucky? The Hilltoppers. They call them the WKU. Boosters are one of the college's most dangerous passing attack under head coach Tyson Hilton after highlighting up the scoreboard. Past 2 seasons, record-setting quarterback Austin Reed is back to unleash the raid once again. What kind of offense we're looking at? Reed shocked many by returning after 4,700 yards, 40 touchdown pass season. His arsenal is loaded with wide receiver McIntyre Corey, 101 catches, and an elite transfer like Cincinnati's Blue Smith. Running back Devon Irvin Poindexter led an underrated grounding game. The Hilltopper may have the top offensive line in conference. USA is protecting Reed. Expect video game. Listen to this. Expect video game numbers from the Hilltoppers on offense. That's going to be impressive if they do a video game. You're talking about 80, 90. You're talking about somewhere between 65, 75, 80 points a game if you're expecting video game numbers. How about the defense? What kind of defense do we expect? We know how power offense they are. Can their defense maintain their level? Despite wild shootouts, the defense generated turnovers and pressures led by a hybrid linebacker, Jacuz Evans, 9 sacks. The linebacking core reloads with transfer like Devon Lynch. The secondary features ball hawking at safety. The optimistic unit will get stops, aim the track meet. Stops the aim is they're stopping the track meet. Basically, the offense outscored it. The offense has outscored everybody, and the defense just was there. Basically, that's what they were talking about there. If you watch some of the games there, what kind of outlook are we looking at? With the top offense and underrated defense, WKU, the Hilltoppers, won't just pile up points. They'll win games in bunches. The weak Conference US slate ensures the Hilltoppers will be in contention. Expect more records to fall in the video game passing attack on the way to double-digit wins. So, as we're coming into the Conference USA segment here, what do y'all expect from this? Are you expecting video game numbers? A lot of people are if you're looking at paper. So the defense on whoever plays the Hilltoppers is going to have the defense on P's and Q's because he still got everybody good on their playmaking side on the offense. But with their weakness is their defense. Can they put the stop? If they can stop teams while the offense is scoring, that's going to put the Hilltoppers in some great shapes in the Conference USA. Let's finish up the Conference USA here. Let's take an overlook at the whole conference here. Conference USA always has a few surprises up their sleeves, and with the talented teams in the mix, this conference will undoubtedly provide some thrilling moments this season and finally conclude with the FBS Independents Bowl 2023. So we're going to take one quick commercial break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about the FBS Independent Bowl 2023 season preview, excluding some of the teams we're going to talk about here that we haven't really touch bases here. We're going to talk about them coming up next on the All Sports All Plays College Breakdown on the All Sports All Plays Network. We'll be right back after these messages.
All Sports All Plays. All Sports All Plays. All Sports All Plays. 365 365, we making a plays. We talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays. Network. All sports, all plays. Network. We on top of our game. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays.
This is the Funks D Streaming Network. Register to come on our channel at funksdnetwork.com.
Welcome back to the All Sports All Plays Network. I am Ray Cruz. This is the college breakdown. Continue a little bit here. We're going to talk about the FBS Independent football in 2023. Catch our afternoon show, the Afternoon Blitz with Chris and the gang. They do a great job on doing the show. And also, Rachel Hill does her show, the Queen of Sports, out of Cleveland, Ohio. She's radio sports things. She does her show. She puts her show live on the radio, and also on the All Sports All Place Network. So you keep it up. How about the Sports City, the all female sports show on here on the All Sports All Place Network? Keep tuned for that. Check it. Keep coming back. They do a great job on that show. Also, so we got some full lineups for you. The Touchdown Crew, they'll be coming back here soon too, on Sundays for our NFL pregame show. Charles and Coach Bennett, they do a great job on the show, and there's crew, their production. They come up on Sundays to do the pregame show for the NFL. So they're coming back here on the All Sports All Place Network soon too. Let's continue right along. We're talking about the FBS Independent football. They're not really a conference; it's just independent football. Basically, the FBS may not be a part of a conference, but that doesn't mean they lack competitiveness. Today, we'll talk about a closer look at Army Black Knights, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, University of Connecticut, the Huskies, University of Massachusetts Minutemen. Let's get started with the Army Black Knights, the cadets out of West Point. It's been a roller coaster ride for Army football under the head coach, Jeff McCocken. After taking over in 2014, McCocken led the Black Knights to 5 bowl games in 6 seasons from 2016 to 2021, including 2 double-digit win campaigns. However, 2022 proved a step back as Army sputtered to a 6-6 record and missed out on the bowl eligibility.
All sports, all plays.
Sorry about that. Heading into 2023, McConkey will look to get the program back on track. But it will be challenging with plenty of question marks, especially on offense. We understand the academies. We understand the Naval Academy and the Army Academy. They have to recruit differently because it takes Congress to get you into the academy. You got to get recommendation from your congressman and certain big dignitaries get in there. So that is a unique recruiting aspect for Army football. Army's triple option offense, and again, this is a triple option offense, has been prolifically under McCollum, but is still last season. New offensive coordinator Drew Thatcher comes over from Division II, Nebraska Kearney, where he led a dominant Russian attack. Thatcher will aim to rejuvenate Army's ground game, but the question is at quarterback. Last year's starter, Ty Tyler, is gone, leaving an open option in fall camp. Bryson Daly saw a limited action 2022 season and will be in the mix along with several other unproven options. Whoever wins the job will rely on experienced offensive line and talented backs like Jacoby Buchanan and Terrell Robertson. The pass game remains a complementary to the Army's system, but top receiver Isaiah Austin is back after averaging 17 yards per catch last season. But make no mistake, this offense will go as far as the quarterback runs games takes. What kind of defense were you looking for Army this year? Army blocks an impressive pass defense last year, ranking third nationally while the secondary was terrific. The run defense was sometimes a liability. The top pass rusher, Arian Carter, is a significant loss, but linebacker Leo Lowen is back after leading the team in tackles. The line needs more sides outside of nose tackle Demars Richardson. The linebacker core has a decent depth, but needs to improve against the run. The secondary should again be the strength with lockdown corner Cameron Jones highlighting the experienced group. Despite the offensive struggle, the defense kept Army in most games last season. Continued growth against the run will be the key as the Knights can take on a challenging 2023 season. What kind of outlook does the Army looking for here in the 2023 season? Well, I'm going to tell you, Army faces a difficult road back to a bowl game. Eligibility with trips to Wisconsin, Navy, Air Force, and UCF getting off to a better start than last year, 1-4 beginning is crucial. McCulkin's track record inspires confidence that he can get back the Black Knights back on track. But question marks on offense is a brutal schedule suggests tempering expectation for Army in 2023. Still, it will be okay if the disciplined group exceeds preseason procrastination. So, I mean, you got to understand Army is an option team. They got to be familiar. You got to understand the vernacular of their recruiting thing. They're not going to get top tier talent there, but they're going to get disciplined talent. People that are going to make football plays are going to be disciplined. So that's what the team you're going to look for. You're going to look for a disciplined team, but the quarterback situation has got to be the key. You just can't go out and get a top-rated quarterback like other universities can. They have to produce a quarterback that can come in and learn the system. So basically, they try to recruit people that are out of an option offense. And too many high schools these days don't run an option offense. So it limits itself because you got a learning curve on an option. Now let's go ahead. Let's move right along to Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Let's go into South Bend, Indiana. After a rocky debut season under head coach Marcus Freeman, Notre Dame appears primed to bounce back in 2023. With an infusion of elite talent and manageable schedule, the Fighting Irish has their football set on the competing for the college playoff spot. What are we going to talk about offense? It's going to start with the quarterback, the transfer Sam Hartman out of Wake Forest University. Notre Dame's offense sputtered in 2022, but should be fight season thanks to Wake Forest transfer quarterback Sam Hartman. The veteran single color gives the Irish an experienced field general with nearly 13,000 career passing yards and 110 TDs. Hartman will have an exciting young receiving corps led by breakout candidate Jaden Thompson and Tobias Merriweather. Star defensive tight end Michael Mayer is off to the NFL, but the wideouts have a high upside. What we're looking in the backfield, leading rusher Edric Ismay, 922 yards, 11 touchdowns in 22 season. A key potential ground attack behind a stellar offensive line anchored by tackles Joe Alt and Blake Fisher. Even with offensive coordinator Tommy Rees gone, the offense is primed for fireworks. But listen, we know about the offense. Let's talk about the defensive side of the Irish defense. Carries the team last season and could be even better in 2023. The linebackers are loaded, led by TJ Banyard, Jack Kaser, Marius LaFleur. Ohio State transferred defensive end Jawan Jeans Baptist helped offset the loss of Isaac Flort. The secondary is among the nation's best, featuring lockdown quarterback Benjamin Morris, 6 interceptions last year, and a safety transfer, Thomas Harper, Oklahoma State transfer. The defense line is stout with a veteran like Howard Cross, Riley Mills up front. What kind of outlook do we look for Marcus Freeman and the Notre Dame Fighting Irish in 2023? I'm going to tell you right here. Freeman's first year was rocky, but the talent influx set Notre Dame up for a big 2023 season. The schedule is favorable, avoiding Clemson with USC and Ohio State at home. With a daily offense led by Hartman and a typical stout defense, with the Irish are primed to contend for a double-digit win and gets back to major bowl contentions after last year. Growing pains. Freeman has Notre Dame back on track as the college football playoffs dark horse. So let's talk a little bit about Notre Dame. Notre Dame is Notre Dame real for real under Marcus Freeman? Is Sam Hartman going to produce what he did at Wake Forest with different aspect and a different offensive coordinator? Sam Hartman can beat Sam Hartman throwing a football around, but he got to have receivers to catch like he did at Wake Forest. He's got to have time to throw the ball. The line's got to be better. The line's got to protect. We don't know if Sam Hartman can make throughout the whole year. Injuries sometimes come into play. The defensive side of the ball is going to be solid. They carried him last year. Probably going to carry him a little bit this year until they get Sam Hartman acclimated to the receivers. Coming out of spring practice into the fall, into game time situation. We don't know. Like I said, paper looks good until you get the team on the field and they have to gel together. So let's talk about the UConn Huskies, University of Connecticut Huskies. After a stunning turnaround in 2022 season, UConn football aims to prove last season was no fluke. Second-year head coach Jim Mora engineered one of the nation's biggest surprise, leading the Huskies from a 1-11 record to a 6-7 mark and bowl eligibility. Sustaining success will be challenging, but Mora has UConn poised to remain competitive in 2023. Let's talk about the offense. The dual-threat quarterback Taquan Robertson was set to lead the offense before an ACL tear. Now is a battle between Robertson and Zion Turner. Whoever started with the relay on the solid line, running back duo Victor Rosa and Devon Houston. The passing game sputtered last year, but as Michigan transfer tight end Lewis Hanson, improving on third down and generating more explosive plays, are priorities for coordinator Nick Charlton. How about the defense and under defensive coordinator Lou Spagnuolo? Fielded a much improved unit last season, led by linebacker Jackson Mitchell, Kansas transfer linebacker Eagle Gilliard, boosted linebacking core. The secondary has veteran who struggled against elite passing attacks in 2022. What the key? The key is pumping up a pass rush that faded late last year. Eric Watts and appreciates brings versatility off the edge. What kind of outlook are we going to look for the Huskies this year? I'm going to tell you right here. Last year's 6 wins likely represents UConn's ceiling as an independent in 2023. Moore's coaching and culture change has revived the program. But what the depth issue remains? Yeah, look at the schedule with Power 5 conference opponents, including Michigan, North Carolina State, Army still. The Huskies won't be a pushover, and progress under Moore is real. Bowl eligibility is the goal, but UConn is still building towards a long-term success. With time constrained, we're going to move right along to the University of Massachusetts Minuteman. UMass football is still searching for its first FBS winning season since moving up in 2012. Under head coach Don Brown, in his second season stint with the program, the Minuteman aimed to show progress in 2023. What kind of offense are we looking at for the Minutemen? The offense sputtered mightily last season, ranking near the bottom nationally in scoring and total yards. Quarterback play was a glaring issue, with UMass quarterback combining for just 4 touchdowns and 14 interceptions, not a good ratio. But Georgia Tech transfer Tashi Pogman offers a hope at quarterback, while the line returns 4 starters. The running back should take a step forward behind Keon Adams. More more playmakers must emerge at receiver. Well, all they're talking about the offense, what kind of defense do they really have? I'm going to tell you what the kind of defense they really have. Defense keeps UMass competitive last year with secondary thriving thanks to the ball hawking corner, Jordan Mahoney. The front seven has room to improve against the run and needs to generate more of a pass rush. How about the defense coordinator, Keith Duniski? Should fill another competitive unit, but the defense can only do so much if the offense remains asthmatic. What outlooks do we look for here for the Minuteman? Brown quickly improves the defense in 2022, but significantly offensive question persists. While another one-win season seems unlikely, UMass still faces a tall task to escape the FBS basement. With Pochemon at quarterback and the defense progressing, UMass should be faster in 2023, where the program still faces a long road back to relevancy. But any sign of life, offense would mark a significant step for Brown. Avoiding double-digit loss would be progress. So what are we looking at here for this conference? For this, not a conference, for the FBS Independents with this unique situation. I'm going to tell you right here. The overall FBS Independents has a unique set up, and with some prestigious program in the mix, this group of teams always exciting to watch. So they're exciting to watch, like Notre Dame, Army, UConn starting to come in there. UMass still in the basement, trying to come up in that tier of the FBS since 2012. So what can we expect from all these conferences here? Some good, exciting football. So my time is coming near. That's a wrap for our comprehensive college football season preview for the Big 12, Big 10, Conference USA, and FBS Independents. College football fans in 2023 season will be thrilling. Remember to stay tuned for more college football coverage throughout the year. What kind of conclusion we're going to come up with? Thank you for all joining us on this football field journey today. I hope you're excited as we are, or as I am, to cover the 2023 season. This is Ray Cruz signing off from the College Football Breakdown Show on the All Sports All Plays Network. Don't forget to follow us on social media for latest updates, highlights, and until next time, have a happy football season, everyone. And I bid you adieu. Peace and out.
All sports, all plays. All sports, all sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making a place. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.